हेलो गाइस, तो वी आर लाइव नाउ। पकाक हो गया है, बहुत लेट हो गए हैं आज। आ,
plates very shortly. But of course,
वो
beacons, we
पकाओ।
harp on about it
यस,
enough. You guys should be familiar
चलो।
at this stage with just how it will work. And you can see a little bit of maybe trepidation for these teams right now to kick things off.
Kind of crazy that you've got SafG from Geekay all the way up towards the northwest side of the map, south of Minhu. This is practically on the other side of the world right now to the rest of his squad. But obviously, Nerzed in the mix with the rest of them. So Ragnarok and Kevin. I think this is a pretty good mix as well in terms of firepower versus GS. But
भाई वो ये भी 43 पे है बे।
gameplay yesterday, some pretty strong stuff. Alright, Marth starting things off versus Revo with the knock.
VPR और एपीजे की फाइट हो गई है।
That's what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, looks like maybe we're on for a repeat over there. Brazilians getting bandied about. Meanwhile, APG looking to try and hold the door frame. Top can't quite land the spray. With the UMP around the corner, the step in with the micro Uzi is good, but it's going to be all right for Alpha Gaming. They are actually very split. They're on a four-way split. Every single one of them
Geek versus GS।
solo, and they will have plenty of opportunity to go for these recall beacons.
भाई आज का दिन देखना पड़ेगा, क्या हो जी आज चिकन मार पाएगी।
Yeah, it's super weird as well, considering like Alpha Gaming strategy is to drop as a 4-man on Rondo. Come to globals, it's like let's drop as a 1-man in 4 different locations, which I don't think it's ideal. I mean, all 4 of these positions are not in the circle either, so this is a complete, I want to say waste of time from Alpha Gaming, but it's not great. Let's put it that way. So to regroup here, you'd have to battle through R8, A7, DRX, even OG's in front of you here. Could be a bit of a menace to you. So I think that overall, this is a bit of a difficult scenario right now for APG. Not sure I'm on board with the strategy just yet. We'll have to wait and see.
The one thing I think may have happened there is that they were trying to camp multiple beacons, right? And I'm really giving them some slack here. I feel like it's very tenuous of a link, but yeah, it's
हवा में ले गया। अरे माँ ले गया भाई, क्या मारा है
Okay, that was first blood. I mean, that makes sense. You hit the deck, you get that M4,
भाई।
you're going to hit those sprays all day. Looks like they do get some retribution, though. Alpha 7, back in.
Yeah, I think Obscure's been playing very well, honestly, for Alpha 7. Out of all the players as well, you sort of expected to be Revo, Carrillo pulling out that magical moments, but honestly, Obscure's been very strong.
मतलब वो बंदा आरेट का इतना लेट क्यों उतरा भाई, मेरे को ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
DS3 and Icon inside the building. He seems to be dipping out a little bit here. There is one nade in the hands of Icon. Could be quite deadly versus GK, but this fight is massively slowed down. And again, this is towards the north side of Jadena City, so they're not really towards the circle just yet either. Both teams likely would have to rotate on.
एक नेट तीनों गए।
It is slightly weird for GK with SafG being over towards that northwest side, where the intention here is, I guess, not to lose, lose the fight. Regrouping with SafG might be slightly rough. Let's put it that way, because they've got to push through Mad Balls. There's Deke Xavier in front of them over towards Concierge as well. So yeah, I don't know how that happens. Reefus is down from Alpha Gaming. He tried to look in on this fight, and Marth said no.
Marth's cracking on. He's having a great day so far. And R8 very happy to earn these points back. They do still need to get one of their teammates back into the fold. They did, of course, lose that one to Obscure, but Alpha 7 seem to have actually regrouped here now as well. They are all 4 players alive. He spotted an off angles there. Rizal actually landing the shots of the Mars, and there's no response. A nice little pickup. He steps through, gets the flush for Alpha 7. Another point added to the tally. But is Amori going to find that answer? Doesn't look like it. He hits the deck in time.
Yeah, it's a pretty aggressive push here coming through from Marth, honestly. And at least he does reveal the position from Guizhao as well as Carrillo, but that's about it. They do have the outpost and Prestige down towards Rinjiang, which is pretty far out from the circle, but they can pick their players up. I think right now, probably Prestige is just asking Amuri to see if he can get a knock, get a flow.
एक HP रह गया.
Enters the scenario as well, as does Zjol from APG. It's a full 4-man squad now, back up and in position.
All right, okay. Aragon moving into the corner here with Voston as well. Revel has oversight. He's warned his teammate. He's not going to be able to do too much more. Carrillo, though, able to find Aragon on the first. Into the bathroom for a heal as well. Another APG player goes down, but it seems like that's just par for the course at this stage. They are just adding points to everyone else's tallies at the start of this game. Alpha 7 popping off, though, and keeping things going. Carrillo an indomitable fortress, keeping Virtus.pro's duo at bay.
I think the thing is here is that at least Joel gets information there's 2 teams in this area, and then they all regroup down towards Yulin. So they could push north and hold out both these squads if they wanted to. Virtus.pro's got a similar situation where they got an outpost over towards Stadium that they can refresh their players from. But Alpha 7 definitely weathered the storm there. It was not easy versus R8 in particular. But
Alpha 7 R8 को ले गई. भाई 3 बंदे हैं उधर.
Doesn't quite find it. Carrillo hits the deck, but will get res.
Oh, elimination.
Take a look at what's happening over towards the
जी फिर आ गई भाई 43 पे.
From Thunder Talk on a 2-2 split, which they quickly regroup towards a central position. They're holding high ground with Sai Ting, as well as Sing towards the lower end of things, just providing scouting capabilities towards that southern side.
That river that sits in the middle of this circle, Blank, has some really difficult crossing points. I mean, we saw just how treacherous those riverbanks can be yesterday on our Rondo game, but in general, there's not the easiest time where maybe on a map like Erangel, when you're crossing that central river, the riverbanks are a little bit more forgiving. I feel like there's a lot of verticality on the Rondo riverbank. There are obviously some places where you can get across, and obviously those bridges will be an option.
Hello.
It's going to be pretty tricky for teams who haven't already made it to go straight through. So I'm expecting quite a lot of wide wraps from teams on the southwest.
Yeah, I think getting over towards Ryan is probably the best idea, and then you can wrap down towards DRX's position, potentially take some high ground for yourself. But it does depend on this next circle, right? Because if it does shift down towards the southwest here, like you're looking at Test Track, you're looking over towards that hillside in the west, but it doesn't happen. We head over towards Huasing.
ये फाइट बढ़िया चल रही है. यहाँ पे कुछ तो निकालना पड़ेगा बे इनको. Yes. Oh. ठीक ने क्या मारा भाई? Oh.
Doesn't find the first, the second, not so lucky, but there is still that trade around corner. Actually, only one player now remaining for Geek, I think. No, for GS, just Jafar. He's been in these spots before.
क्या ये निकालेगा? क्या ये 1v3 निकालेगा?
Fight that we saw in match 2 yesterday, and now he needs to find Kevin on the corner. The recall beacon just outside is beckoning, but he needs to get through this hurdle first.
Oh यार नहीं निकलना था तो क्या? बचा लिया उसने. उसने अच्छे 2 नॉक निकाले थे बे.
Fantastic play there from Jafar. Some great baiting as well. I mean, 0 meds to work with, and they would have heard each other using them. So Jafar just
R8 वर्सेस वोल चल रहा है. R8 का अकेला बंदा है. पूप्स क्या निकाल पाएगा यहाँ 1v3? भाई अपने को इंटेंस मोमेंट चाहिए. नहीं बे इनकी पब्लिक आ गई. ओ फटेगा. ओ फट गया. बोल का एक खिलाड़ी डाउन है. वाइल्ड वो लगा रहा है हेल किट.
Multiple maps, and they just couldn't get much done from there. But Regnum Kai usually uses that day 1 as a big study day. Though I was a little disappointed in the performance that they put up. I thought they'd get a little bit more than 19 points overall.
मैट तो लगा. तुलाका का नाम ही बहन कितना खतरनाक लगता है भाई.
Pop-ups on the tower graphic on the right-hand side. I don't know if you've clocked it, guys at home, but if a recall does happen, we saw it just on the Wolves tab there. it will show who has been and when it will happen.
ट्रिक्स देख रहे हो, ट्रिक्स देख रहे हो.
Right-hand side of your screen. So if you're watching and we're not on board with your favorite team and they're looking to get a recall on board, that's how you can keep track of it. You'll see exactly when it happens. So you're nice and up to date with everything.
भाई साहब. ओ इजी ले लिया भाई उसने. इजी ले लिया भाई, जोकर ने इजी ले लिया.
Into today looking a lot more fresh in the initial pick off there onto Wolves. I mean, E-Arena didn't play terribly yesterday. I just don't think that they had these massive moments. They were consistently
रुको, नॉक डाला इसने.
portions of the game. I think it's mistakes like this, right? I think they get
भाई पुश डाल दिया उन्होंने.
and then step 3 is where they fall short. I think that when it comes to thinking ahead,
उठाओ भाई, आरू को उठाओ.
where they make this push, you play
चलो फिर से 44 पॉइंट ले लिए, बहुत बढ़िया.
backside angle.
हाँ.
Global lobby, you have to worry about that. It's imperative that you worry about that.
Ooh, circle pops down towards the south, gives a little bit of a favor to Regnum Kaya potentially. Orangutan on that southwest side as well. Looking at the teams on the south, though, it's a bit of a difficult run up here for teams like Alpha Gaming, who have got all 4 of their players.
क्यों आरू को उठाया नहीं यार अभी तक. हाँ हो गया, हो गया. बढ़िया.
It's going to be pretty stacked up on this south edge with Kara as well, maybe poking their noses in, and a few teams yet to move as well.
It's been an incredibly odd start for Alpha Gaming. I think that it's hard to say whether it was the correct decision or not. Personally, I don't think it was the initial 4-man split. Like you said, I think you were giving them a lot of credit
Oh boy.
for attempting to achieve, but I think that that's more coming from the fact that they had such a
Lambert.
big day yesterday. They were feeling very worried coming into today. And then this first 12 minutes has just been about getting a 4-man towards that late game.
भाई धीरे धीरे सारी टीमें अपनी अपनी पोजीशन पकड़ते हुए लास्ट जोन में तो भसड़ होने वाले. अभी भी 64 बंदे रिमेन बचे हैं भाई. पूरी 16 के 16 टीम बच भाई अभी भी अलाइव है भाई. टीटी के 77 पॉइंट लेके भाई टॉप पे बैठी है. मैट 66 पॉइंट लेके. ओजी ने 44 पॉइंट्स कर लिए. अल्फा 7 रेवोक को गिराया गया. डाउन दे दिया बे.
Struggling to get through. They got the Mad Bulls ahead of them as well. Not only are DXavier going to be harrying them as they try and move forwards, but they're going to have to deal with that too. The recall beacons not long in this game, so opportunities starting to dwindle to get yourself back up to 4 players.
कौन एपीजी ने यूएलएफ के एक नॉक डाला है.
On those recall beacons, the only one still available is probably in Alpha 7's camp over towards Muhapan. I think that potentially Korea's
पीछे से पड़ रही है.
but Mad Bulls is set up on a lineup right now. Takes down Guizao and Obscure, so leaving just Korea at the recall beacon to get the rest of his team over there.
हो गया recall, हो गया.
Limited supplies. I'm kind of concerned right now for them. 5 elims on the game is not terrible. It's not great either though.
You see those recalls popping up there. Wolves moving through as Ulf managed to get into this position nice and early on the plateau, but will they be able to hold it? The first is good, a double spot.
Oh, nice.
Across the way. No, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but Ketch is able to find another. Coops goes down, they lose one.
क्या ये नेट से 3 नॉक होंगे?
But the Wolves are no more. Taken away on the approach. You can't get up the top there. Ulf able to beat out the Wolves on that hold.
So funny is the 2 Wolves logos going at it with one another. You know, the 2 packs are scrapping in the meantime. Though I think that Max brings up a really good point on the desk is that the Ulf does feel very weird right now to me. Rondo actually was one of their best maps that they played. They were fantastic at it overall.
रिकॉल अभी भी बचा है भाई.
There is this issue that I think it is confidence based because
वाह.
they went from being
अल्फा 7 46 पॉइंट्स हो गए भाई.
under the name of Fireflux to suddenly this whole new team with Aaron on board, with Macat out, and then coming to
वो वाले एलिमिनेट हो गई.
just concerned because I was like, well, this is not the Ulf I'm used to seeing with just incredible.
अगर जीएस या डीएक्स का किसी का भी चिकन आता है तो फिर ओजी आ जाएगी 8वें पे.
If they can pick up that performance.
Ooh, the Gardens not playing well for DRX. They A lot of people trying to move into the area. Alpha Gaming actually fairly successfully.
Might be.
A decent chunk of it. A big nade comes through from Reefus as well. That's going to find two of them, just leaving So Easy down on his last legs here. Last player to stand, and his bridge position fairly known. Look at the ground that Alpha Gaming have been able to achieve. I mean, fair enough, you know, to be able to salvage something like that from a game that started the way it did for them. And with two elims, they do have a lot of teams that can crest over the ridge lines. Take the question is, will teams want to do that?
Recentering up on the circle a little bit now. I mean, Mad Bull's on the northern side. It's not a terrible spot for them, but they are a little bit exposed right now. Regnum Kari are playing things slightly slower over towards the western edge. You can see here already a nade goes through, able to find good damage over towards Tudika. Likely a knock and a flush comes through off the back of that one. But Tudika is
बसड़ होते हुए बसड़ स्टार्ट हो चुकी है.
As he possibly can. OG playing things out smart down towards the southwest side. Just biding their time, and I think that's fair enough considering your VP ahead of you. They can try and cut out any control on the south side. There's no reason to move right now.
Kara. And they were on the east side. We saw them trying to crest that ridge line over towards the Alpha Gaming position in the center of the gardens. And now they're going to have to move top. You can see Poser poking his nose in. Trying to establish some kind of inroads for them. I think it may just be a crash onto Alpha Gaming spot, but
Matt Philip ने Matt Para को
it's going to be messy in the middle there.
गिरा दिया बे.
Difficult time, I'm sure. DX Xavier, they've moved in from the north side. The Mad Bulls have been leapfrogging with them, and Paragin will be the player to go down, but there's an answer, and it's Regnum Kaya to third party out to the west.
Fair enough as well. I mean, Regnum Kaya able to gain a lot of control over that northwest side. Mad Bulls continuing to take damage. Loxy finishing off some of the final players there from Mad Bulls. Just one last left alive now in Pusher, who is hiding in a field of Doritos.
ओ नॉक होगा नहीं नहीं लग गया बे. फिर एक नॉक होगा मुझे लग रहा है. अबे उसके नेड यहाँ तक आ रहे पर इनके नेड वहां तक नहीं जा रहे.
As the trots to be excavated beneath their feet, Mad Bull's putting them in the ditch.
AKOP खतरे में लग रहा है.
Mad Bull survives here. I mean, they've smoked out as much as possible, but even so, that's a little bit tough. Now we're looking over towards our final circles. With Ulf playing this high ground, I think they have a great chance at this game. There is equally E Arena, who needs to do a lot of work now to control over towards that northeast side. OG continues to put presence over towards the northern edge. I think they understand that Regnum Kaya right now is probably their biggest threat, and Silas is continuing to poke over that way and see what they can find off the back of this. He is recalling the rest of the team now down this way. They have the high ground advantage.
फाइट हो गई इनकी. ले लो इनको. मार दे. What the?
Looks for a second and finds it. The back line now down to one. Just a tanky there, looking for the shots, and does manage to clock Silas. Looking for now Loxy getting backed off the angle. Only one player now as the flushes are confirmed for Regnum Kaya. Silas unlikely to get rezzed here, Blank. I mean, they could put him in a vehicle and see if he can get on forward.
क्या कर रहा है भाई?
I think it might be more worthwhile to just send your 3 players away, not try and spend that time, because look at this approach. I mean, Atanki's managed to make it to a rock.
पर बंदे हैं तेरे.
See if he could survive and out.
भाई क्या किया भाई?
Are able to do it. They've got it in the tank. Let's see if they can do it this time.
Yeah, trying to survive on that side of the map. Slightly underneath Ulf, though, so a little bit of a dangerous position for them, but I don't think Ulf is too preoccupied with that right now. They're looking over towards Mad Bulls and making sure they hold out VP in the process. So it's a good play from Atanki. It is a little bit of a risk.
Alpha 7 तो हो गई है. अब तुझे 2 पॉइंट लेना पड़ेगा किसी भी तरह.
It's nice to see. Regnum Kaya, though, that is a decent start for them. It's 27 points now. So already 8 points on the game here on Rondo, which is massive news for Regnum Kaya. Starting to catch up to teams at the middle of the pack. And a nice start to the beginning of the day is really huge for a team that struggled yesterday.
That's what you need to be able to find as well.
Ragnarok कहाँ छुप के बैठा? माँ कसम इतनी सी.
Finding that resurgence
क्या है भाई?
after a bad day, very, very important. Although sometimes you don't have that opportunity, especially when it gets to the smaller numbers of days, smaller numbers of matches that you're going to be playing. now, though, Thunder Talk, I mean, we saw how much work they were able to do yesterday, right? Getting so many points and getting so close to what we expect the bubble to be already.
ये नेड कुछ तो करेगा
3 days is a beautiful team. Silas was picked up, but maybe not for too much longer.
डैमेज दिया बे, डैमेज अच्छा खासा गया है।
Behind the deployable cover there, looking for another res. They are
भाई आरईजी क्या फाइट ले रही है बे।
try and put them out of it though.
You can see their VP looking
Oh!
further up. These nades are getting very close. There's a good chunk of damage. I think that Regnum Kai is kind of lucky that they don't lose too much damage on their side, because the nades seem to stop a little bit from VP. They want to hold them out for a little bit later in the game there. There's no real chance of getting too much more utility going forward, so you got to be a bit conservative now.
भाई आतंकी प्लीज चिकन निकाल ले भाई।
Good shot over towards Ulf as well from Regnum Kai in the midst of all that, by the way. I don't know where that came from.
Silas very close to bleeding out here. Might in fact get flushed. I think he does. Oh, I think has he gone down?
भाई यूएलएफ वालों की पूरी टीम खा जाता ना आतंकी तो मजा आ जाता भाई कसम से।
Just about getting rezzed. Can't quite make it out on the screen there, but that's
जैसे आरएन ने
nasty little turn up, and I think it was
मारा था 1v3।
did a chunk of damage from that off angle to be able to seal his.
भाई इंटरनेशनल लॉबी है भाई।
I'm seeing 4 players alive around Kaya. Maybe the res was there after all.
Yeah, it did come through. Tanky though.
नेट एक और नेट कर आतंकी, एक और नेट कर।
Over the top. It's a pretty nadeable position, but he has limited sightlines on this with the rock in front of him. But a great nade over the top will take down one player from R8 there with limited vision as well. It's a great arc on that one.
Brilliant little find, but will he have drawn the ire of too many around him? Mad Bulls feeling the burn as Regnum Kaya roll them down. 2 players fall, and that will be them done and dusted for the match. Regnum Kaya seem to be on the warpath here. 8 elims already. Let's see how much further they can go.
Yeah, I think for Regnum Kaya as well, it's
Jock
important
के
to
पीछे आया।
consider that when they were playing on this northwest side, they would continue to get knowledge, to get information.
भाई अब देखना जहाँ आतंकी लेटा है वहीं जोन बनेगा, तुम देखना।
Consistently wrapping out in the
वो
vehicle.
पोजीशन पॉइंट लेने के लिए देखना भी क्या करेगा।
Here they knew Mad Bulls were a much weakened
तो नाइस नेट बे।
upwards. They don't really want to get
एजी का यहाँ पे खात्मा करते हुए
with VP, but a nice
टीटी ने
Soez over towards Thunder Talk will take down at least one. Doesn't quite have the angle yet to confirm onto it, but I don't think Thunder Talk really have too many options here.
नहीं बे।
Yeah, really don't. They're starting to run out. Barrel getting a little dry now.
अबे थोड़ा ऊपर चढ़, हाँ थोड़ा ऊपर चढ़।
But you know how dangerous the hump of this bridge is. We'll see if so easy. He's going to be able to do it though.
ओ भाई
Smoke. 2 players run around.
डिस्ट्रैक्शन,
And a nice little flex out for Thunder Talk.
उसको डिस्ट्रैक्ट मार दिया बे।
Spot it. Regnum Kaya will have heard the shots. They'll be looking. You can guarantee that much. We'll see if they're able to find it. Doesn't look like they will. Maybe a little bit of time for Thunder Talk to play with.
बे आतंकी के पास अच्छा खासा है बे। अगर 1 2 3 नेट फेंक देना भाई भाई अच्छी किल निकाल सकता है भाई।
Tony K as well. This hole has just been a blast. A little assist from Ulf on the off angle. But how has he survived that? What a hold on the inside. Don't think he's going
What
to
the hell, man?
That is a great little clip for him.
Having a Murray in the
भाई अगर आतंकी आ जाए यहाँ पे 1v3 कर देना तो मजा आ जाएगा भाई।
metal around him. Looks to put a little
2
bit
नॉक्स पड़े
down.
भाई इनके।
Quick Molotov over towards Joker to try and confirm the elimination point and get some more underneath the belt. Has a little bit more to work with. Smokes out front side. Can't believe Murray lives through that moment off in the distance as well. Not likely to even try and attempt to get near him. Throws out another
भाई किल्स
Molotov.
कंफर्म करने के लिए देख क्या कर रहा है भाई।
I don't think he got the flush over towards that player, so he's looking to confirm it, but he's already gone.
He's not there. No more. Not a morsel. Mori though, surviving. Next to a tanky for orangutan. Both of them hunkering down, trying to lock it in.
#7 पे तो आ गए हैं।
Placement points on board because we are now into placement point territory. See if Ulf can survive.
प्लेसमेंट पॉइंट इनफ नहीं है दोस्त।
But Regnum Kaya might
प्लेसमेंट पॉइंट नहीं है इनफ मेरे दोस्त।
A north side shift does keep a tanky in, but you can imagine that APG are going to be trying to bear down upon him. Amori already feeling the brunt of it.
I mean, Alpha Gaming, this is what we're talking about. Get them into a 4-man position towards the end of the game. That's where they can start sweeping a little bit. But there is consistent angles that are being available here. It's such a rough scenery to play in, where any little mistake in terms of sightlines that you leave capable for yourself, you're going to take
टीटी किंग नॉक है, टीटी सिंह भी नॉक है।
on their mission to take down the entirety of the northern hemisphere of this circle and doing fantastically at it. They've already put in a lot of damage over towards Ulf and probably limited a lot of the supplies, but now VP makes their wrap up over towards that north side, and Regnum Kaya instantly is responding.
They're moving back on over. They sent a lot of their players out to that east. Virtus Pro read that quite nicely. Thunder Talker actually managed to get a full reset here. A tanky finally may actually have.
अरे यार.
But the nade is just too strong. Doc had the run out as well, and it will be the end.
Check 6.
Locked in, one Elim for Orangutan there. And they will not be able to survive into the later portions of this game. Thunder Talk make it across, and they will be able to do so with 2 players. They still got a backstop to deal with, and a player knocked as well. That just came through as a res, so they're up as 4 once more. But can the other 2 rejoin?
This is great damage coming through from Sing right now. They have to drop down the tactical covers, try and keep themselves up, but a double.
Oh.
Backline will take down 2. Sing walks straight past the nade there, takes it on the shoulder, and Doc now has to do the impossible.
गया रश गया, खत्म होने वाले. एबीजी की टीम एलिमिनेट होने वाली है. क्या ये रश डालेंगे? ओ ना ना ना ना ना. Nice one.
Nobody's in a position to capitalize because Ulf are more preoccupied on the southeast edge, looking towards Thunder Talk as APG fall as well. That is going to be them done and dusted. Rectum Kaya on the north edge, looking to try and get the reset, but there are still shots flying their way.
I mean, for Rectum Kaya, though, it has been a hell of a day for them already. Loxy does go down as he attempted to move further up. This is great management and good control from Ulf right now between 2 separate squads. They had the high ground. They're trying to work with it. Smokes are flowing through right now, but you can see 0 nades on the cards for
3 4 5
on the top of your screen, but
10 12
maybe a lie, I'm not sure.
ULF है, REG है, TT है.
Loose any certainly would be a great boon to them.
Oh.
Ulf are completely barren on the old supply cupboard there. Regnum Kaya actually able to clock a shot over towards King, keeping Ulf safe. Scarface might have gone down there with just a little moment longer on that.
Zone भी shrink होने वाला भाई. Zone start होने वाला है.
Save him. Scarface back up with that first aid kit.
I mean, for Ulf, they are definitely struggling in terms of utility, in terms of gear. Scarface playing this close as well is dangerous, but it's necessary. Has to be done to keep Regnum Kaya at bay in the coming future. I mean, Thunder Talk off an insane day yesterday, a pretty difficult crossing for them. I think the most surprising thing about this game is Thunder Talk being on 4 players at this stage of the game. I think they must have been knocked multiple times. I don't think once used the recall beacon during this match, which is even more impressive. So I think this has been fantastic from Thunder Talk. Now it's a question whether they can actually close out the game, or will Regnum Kaya sweep through with their 3 players, because crossing this
चारों
is
जिंदा है बे TT के.
very difficult. But Thunder Talks have
चाइना
13
क्या
nades
कर
to
रही है
do
भाई?
it, but no smokes, which is the critical factor, which Regnum Kaya, they've got all of them.
घुस गए भाई.
It's all or nothing.
घुस गए भाई.
From somewhere, they've been able to pick one up from a box, but catch. He's going to be dropped down by King, and the 4 players from Thunder Talk trying to take down the off angles from Ulf as Silas actually gets spotted. Scarface. He would have gone down if they hadn't have taken King out on that spray. Oh, they're regretting that decision now. Thunder Talk, though, mounting the pressure. Regnum Kai, I think they were up on 12 elims. We'll see if they can get a couple more, because Eren not going to be able to defend in the face.
Thunder Talk के पूरे 4 बंदे बचे हैं भाई.
Breaking out wide, and the 2-piece here for Regnum Kaya needs to be impeccable.
I mean, I don't think it's possible with all these nades available for Thunder Talk.
2v4 की fight बची है.
You know generally where they're coming from. Thunder Talk looking to take yet another game in their favor.
Zone में बैठे हैं भाई. चारों zone में बैठे.
If they want to win this one out, but I find it highly doubtful. Wild sending all the way on the side, but them using this little cliff towards their western edge, their advantage. And now it is Wild in this 1v4.
Oh, they isolate it.
1v4 भाई दोनों के.
Wild looking for the spray. You're right. He's managed to get 2 here. Maybe able to give them the slip. This is the final zone.
भाई revive मत होने देना.
If he can hold a central position for just long enough, maybe the blue zone will put too much of a hurry up on these reses. Zed Wolf does get flushed away, but a 1v4, I just don't
What?
think so. Wild looks for more on the angle. King steps up for the challenge, and he's good for it. I thought he might have Stepped a little bit too far there, but Regnum Kaya fall. It is Thunder Talk to get another chicken dinner. Blank, they're not satisfied with one day. They want two at the top of the tables.
I mean, it was a crazy run out from Wild, but you got to respect that Thunder Talk already had sightlines down that way. Knew the Wild probably would be rotating to get
भाई कुछ भी man
lineup angle down the edge of that hillside. So really well done. I think Regnum Kai, you can be pretty pleased that game. Not quite getting the chicken dinner does feel slightly rough, but overall, I think that was way better than yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of elims for Regnum Kai on that match as well. Able to do a lot of damage to the lobby, picking up plenty of points. They'll be happy. But Thunder Talk, I mean, that is going to put them really close. I
ये
mean,
साले चाइनीज प्लेयर ना दिमाग खराब करके रख क्या बात है
I think they're done. Yeah, I think they are done at this point. It's very unlikely.
उसके बाद नेड मॉल ही नहीं था क्या भाई फाइव के दो डाउन थे दो एकदम वो थे भाई लगी थी
They keep playing like this. Let's head back over to the desk.
क्या बोल सकता हूँ भाई अब मैं बोलो अब मैं क्या बोलूँ थर्ड चिकन मार दिया उन्होंने बताओ तीसरा चिकन मार दिए वे कल थे
Yeah, I mean, look how much of a clinic they set up at the end here. Thunder Talk have to rename officially Thunderclap because, oh my goodness, they're slapping the lobby around in these games. And Nipchuri, you was saying it before we came on camera here. This is a back-to-back win now we just got from Thunder Talk. And actually, on top of that, they've now officially got a win on every single battle. Got a win yesterday on Erangel, a win on Miramar on the last game, and now a Rondo chicken dinner. These guys are putting on a clinic on every one of these battlegrounds. And look at the player stats. Sitting 4 limbs, 5 limbs for King. AJ's gets 3. Jing putting up 1 elimination, still 500 damage, putting in the work, putting in the hours in this lobby. Not an easy game to try because they were fighting tooth and nail.
इन लोग को बोलो भाई जाके कोई
GRX, there was karo on the east, and you survive. They keep alive. Making the Weibo might not just be the best team at all.
Absolutely. I mean, exactly what you were saying, right? We game, and you know who's going to win this game. You know who's next. Under talk conversation all, and they just in of every fight happening them. It was such master. I mean the
अबे कास्टर्स
clearing them, getting that ridge to themselves, and then just being for the right time. The timing is impeccable with this team.
I mean, just putting on a masterclass on that edge style play, right? I mean, they were playing the edge pretty much the whole way until the end there, right? Just taking out teams one by one, catch guard, and to do that, and all 4 up, especially in a lot of this max, it's just super impressive.
It really is. I mean, in particular, they out-naded Doc, which we know, Doc, the nades, that's a specialty usually, but no, they were able to actually outdo APG on that eastern ridge next to the hilltop of Ulf, and the execution from that was really good. And especially not just the execution and how they fought, I would say, Nipchura, the timing at which they left, I would say, is when all the teams were at their weakest, and it was extremely well executed from start to finish. The timing was a 10 out of...
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh, Revo.
I want to say,
whoa,
hang on.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Whoa.
Unfortunate.
Yikes! That's a clippable moment for sure. That's going on all the platforms for sure.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I love as well the timing that we saw off Regnum, as well as, I mean, VP was a really nicely played in the last moments there, where they tried to come up kind of next to Regnum and take that hillside. But Regnum specifically, the timing was so much better than yesterday. I kind of wanted to see something a little bit better from them in terms of those timings, in terms of that, you know, a little bit more direct, a little bit more...
भाई इस बार इन्होंने M4 का मेटा चेंज कर दिया भाई, सब ऑग चला रहे हैं वे 80% टीम ऑग लेके ऑग प्रेफर कर रही है.
round. Unfortunately, they were a little bit complacent, maybe not quite able to play their own game, but here they were able to do it because I would say the best way to describe how Regnum Kara played this game is not taking any unnecessary fights. Every they took in this Rondo match made sense, and if they won it, they gained value out of it. That fight versus Orangutan on the western side, they clear Orangutan. Guess what? They've got a great scouting spot to check into the circle what the hell is going on. After that, they're sending up north next to Ulf. They got that symbiotic relationship situation where they can hold down the fort together, and it just so perfectly for them. This is one of the best IGLs in the world. Sylat pulling the strings in the back end, and clearly so far, it gets them in the late game. I'm thinking this is the redemption arc that finally begins, Hot Troops, for Regnum Kara.
I mean, it's about time, right? But they didn't just get to the late game. They got there with a whole bunch of eliminations right there, pulling out a dozen. We talked about how they pretty much needed to double their performance and then some at the top of the show, right, Neptura? And I mean, I don't know.
8 point.
No,
भाई
100%.
क्या बोलूं मैं
Such
भी
good numbers coming out of them, and APG as well. I had them slated to win the whole thing. Y'all didn't. It was, it was on the edge. It was off in the swamp. It wasn't looking particularly good, but, it wasn't a win, but they came out with a much better performance. And is it not a win? It's not a win, but it's a top 4 and a solid top 4 that sets the tone for the rest of the day. Fingers crossed.
Hey, we'll take those all day. You know what? I want to kind of go back to the start of the game, right? We did see that hot drop with Alpha 7 and our... Oh, never mind, right? Are you kidding me? I mean, talk about a run for the MVP of the tournament here, Max, right?
I mean, I know why he's called sitting. He's just seeing everyone like right now. You're not playing this game. The guy is an absolute beast. And to be completely honest, when looking at players from PL that I was paying attention to, I was looking mainly for this team at, of course, you got King and you got AJ. Those are the two that I'm like, okay, these guys, they can cook, they can step up, they can Yang Tasho. But here this time around, though, it clearly is sitting. And they are sitting pretty. 100 points. And right now, I did a little bit of calculation.
Wow.
Of course, it's not great math. 120 points, you're pretty much 100% sure to go in the top 7 in the grand finals. They're already just
चलो जी 5 पे है भाई
What are we doing?
Yo, that's a, what is that? A
100 point भाई 3 चिकन माँ कसम भाई
That is absolutely, I mean, wild. I mean, I did not expect Thunder Talk to pop off this crazy Neptura, but man, did they show up. It was good to see some other teams as well put some numbers on the board. I want to look and see a big mover and shaker. It's got to be Regnum Kara, right? I mean, where were they at the start of the day? They're in 9th place here, Neptura?
Yeah, they were 13th, I think it was. So they've really stepped up now to where they're only 5-6 points away from a top 7. So if they keep this consistency, it doesn't have to be, crazy top 3s all the time. But if they keep making the extremely calculated plays that we saw in the run this game, the rest of the games are going to be so easy for them because we know what they can do. We saw glimpses of it yesterday. We've seen more of a sneak peek of it today. We just need little bit more consistency. Just bring it more and more and more because that calculation of this team is what's going to put them on the map.
Oh, looking at the player stats here, Amori destroying my initial prediction of this game of E-Arena. E-Arena sitting it 1 by 1, and clearly that was abused by Amori. He was able to capitalize on that mistake and able to get himself multiple 1v1 clutches for himself, so very, very well executed on his end. And looking, of course, at AJ here in terms of utility, chucking a lot of it all over the place, allowing to make those transitions happen for his team. But of course, Jing, the man himself, able to also do something similar. Team throwables used. So yeah, I mean, the utility used by Thunder Talk is the main reason why they were able to survive this entire game, right? The smokes, the grenades in particular, to zone out, for example, APG on the cliffside was just paramount for them to make that movement happen in the first place.
Yeah, it's what I love, using their nades as well towards Ulf as well, right? Because what I love is when a team understands that a nade doesn't have to do damage to be effective. It's just there to displace or to keep away. So if you're trying to zone out a team and keep them in their circle, just chuck nades at them. They won't be able to move. You're not doing any damage, but you're keeping that control. And that's what Thunder Talk seem to really understand, is that those nades, they don't have to do any damage to be effective.
I wonder, does that include emergency cover flares? I feel like it, because I do want to see emergency cover flares of Thunder Talk.
Huge.
Not the best, though. Not huge, actually. I would say they were not great. They were throwing them in positions where they really leverage much out of the item itself. I want to see them try and use it as a leapfrogging tool instead of a more defensive tool. It makes sense earlier on in the game, in the mid-game stage, but when they were pushing on Ulf, I think if they throw them forward, that transition would have been even smoother. Of course, they still won it and kept everyone alive.
They could have won
I think
better, though.
that if I had to criticize one thing, it would be just that. But otherwise, the rest was just absolutely perfect from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, there's always those little tiny little tweaks that you could make, right? And one of the tweaks that I'm really starting to get a little bit concerned about, right? I mean, right off the rip here is because when you have a team like this is what we were talking about at the start of the show, Max, right? We knew that a lot of these big names were going to perform today, right? Regnum Karya said we're doing it right off the rip, okay? For a team like OG, right, which was playing very calculated, consistently putting up points on the board, right? I think we're gonna need to see at least a couple of big games from them if we want to see them in the top 7. Do you think that that's right, or what do you think OG needs to do here?
I mean, I would agree. Orangutan, you know what I want to see from Orangutan? I want to see a bloody chicken dinner, okay?
Yes,
it's about
right?
time. They keep surviving into the late game. I think yesterday they had a bit of an issue where in the first 2 games it was just a solo. It was AKOP and it was, who was it after that? It was Aru on the Erangel game surviving as a solo. If we see more of that, but they survive as a trio, as a full squad, there's definitely a win potential there for me to see coming out from Orangutan. So Niptura, do we think we're going to see an OG win?
I hope so, and I think they will absolutely get the win if...
not hope so. It's a yes or no.
Sorry.
What's happening?
It's yes.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because, and I'll tell you why. Because the main difference between how they normally play and what they're doing now is they're spreading out on the edge. That's typical for OG, right? They're using their terrain, they're spreading out a little bit, they're trying to get control, but they're not backing it up. They're taking the position, and then the moment somebody comes towards them, they're kind of like, we'll try and defend, but they're not going forward and going, actually, this is our spot. You know, where is the confidence that we saw in the interview of, well, if APG want to drop our location, then they're free to do that. We want to see that same energy coming into the end game when they go, this is our position, we're going to set it up like this, and also we're going to back it up with some shots. It doesn't have to be elims. But I want to see more presence from him in the end game because the setup is good, but they're just falling down on converting anything into a, oi, stay away.
Yeah, I do feel bad for OG though, because that play of Regnum Karya was just beautifully executed. So it's really hard to fight back in that kind of situation. But actually, just to go on another team I want to see some improvements from, I'm going to go on DRX, and I'm going to blame Marzi in particular, okay? If you're listening to this, I know he's doing a watch party. Why did you pick DRX? Okay, he is the true boss master in India. And DRX, genuinely, one of my favorite teams. For me, there was no doubt in my mind DRX were going to have a banging performance in the Gauntlet and instantly make it to the finals. But no, they started off the day in 11th position, and I believe now they're in 15th after this first rondo.
Yeah,
DRX, we're almost at the halfway point, Hot Jukes. We need to see more from DRX. They've done nothing so far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is, this is my concern, right? Is that with so many big names on the second half of the leaderboards, if any of these teams like DRX do what we just saw Regnum Karya did, right? 18 points, they're in the running for top 7, right? So I think for a team like DRX, though, hey, get it done now. You know what I'm saying? You do not want to wait till the last is for sure. So for DRX, so many of these squads, I think the pressure is on big time here in Niptera to perform right here, right now.
100%, because we're getting closer now. It's game 2 after game 3 way done, and that's where it's really going to start. You're going to start getting that pressure coming in. You're going to start going, we only have a set amount of games left. All of that stuff's going to start happening to you. So it really is now or never, Jukes.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You know, I'm kind of going to go on the other side of that point you were talking about earlier. You know, when it comes to OG, right? I think that their performance is very impressive for a squad that it's their first PMGC. You know, I think they've done a lot to be in the position they're in. You know, I think that getting a chicken dinner right now, from what I've seen so far, is going to really depend on them getting a circle position, right? If they're in a dominant hill spot, they get the zone locked, I think they're winning that game all day long, right? I think we're yet to see them be able to pull out a chicken dinner from what you're talking about, like from that edge style play, like we saw Thunder Talk do, right? Play edge, take out every single squad, right? Hopefully we can see them build up to that, but I think the best case scenario for OG here is if they do get that circle, they got to capitalize it like there's no tomorrow. And then hopefully just be, once they get that chicken dinner, right? Be like, we can do it, right? We've done this before.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really hard to cross, Max, right? Because pretty much everybody in this lobby has won a chicken dinner at PMGC before, right? At least
नेक्स्ट
once.
मैच एंगल स्टार्ट होने वाला भाई
Experienced for sure. But Orangutan dropping in shelter, actually, you got some pretty decent rotational paths. And by the way, we're looking at them right now. These jackets from OG, like, come,
I want one.
Can we get?
I
Can we get one of those,
want one.
please? I want one of the jackets. But no, really,
Please.
Orangutan, the way they're playing, it's I'm having a Ratatouille moment when it's taking me back to the World League years and years ago. You know when Orange Rock were there, TSM Entity were there, popping off on the global stage. We're getting back. We're getting a taste of that once again at PMGC. So we'll see if they can perform once again. Though I'm going to take this opportunity here, guys. The conversation onto a big talking point here. GS Team APG. It kept happening. No?
Yeah.
Going into Novo military, into Northcan military base. Jafar in particular had a massive clutch at the end to wrap up versus APG. Are we going to see that continue if we have a Southern Plane, or are we going to see APG maybe change things up if they are going to be clashing versus GS? What are we thinking?
Man, I hope so. I actually no. I hope we don't. Right, and the reason why is because we saw GS hot drop right off the rip. Game number 1 of Erangel, right, Neptura, and then in 2 games they didn't hot drop, and I think that was mostly to the fact that that plane path was heading more towards Severny for them, their secondary drop location. Do you think, Neptura, that because it worked for them, right? I think GS did a lot better when they didn't have to do that hot drop, right? So I think maybe their coach or Neptura, you're the coach of GS, okay,
Ooh, okay.
right now. Put it on the coach hat, right? If you were their coach, what would you tell them going into Erangel here for
I wouldn't hot drop. I'd be like, look at the results we got as staying full squad through most of the match, getting much farther into the match as a full squad versus when we hot drop, and yeah, we get some early limbs, but now we've got a
लाइव
really
चैट
long
देखते हैं भाई
way
क्या
to
चल रहा है
make. So if
The
we
group
remove
stage.
all of this sort of stuff, everybody's already set up. That would not be my play. I'd be just like, no, you guys, we gotta switch things up, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Max, you're the coach of APG. What would you do?
Hot drop, because I think on a very serious note, it would be
भाई ज्यादातर इंडिया वाले ही हैं
That's my analysis, because for the memes, go for the hot drop, but no, generally, I would like
ओजी चिकन ओजी का चिकन होगा बे होगा
doesn't help the team, so hopefully they can fix it. Hot juke.
Gaming community BGMI watching in world record but PUBG mobile watching
Military base their own.
Let's make it happen as we take it on over to John Allen and Blank for match number 2.
भाई बात तो सही है भाई बात तो उसने सही बोली है
Well, you know what? We are gonna have a little bit of a pause here.
China has come back. I can defeat any 64 player. Handle Zane. Haters. Marthu. Go watch your BMIC. OG.
Well, guys, it looks like we're gonna wait a little bit longer here to get into the next.
Let's
game.
go Team India. Yes, buddy.
Gives us a little bit more time, Max and Neptune, right, to get into this. I know John Allen and Blank are super excited to get this, and we will get to that next game, right? But I want to talk a little bit more about possibly some of the other hot drops we're gonna deal with, Max, right? So what do you think is gonna happen here in Erangel?
I mean, really, except for the APG GS team, I think hot drops were pretty clean. Nothing really happened, so I think we're chilling on that front. I think we're okay. I'm actually going to be paying attention to Virtus Pro and A7. We know they have some drops in common. They have Northern George Pole, they have Lipovka, and also VP tend to drop into Milto, which could be a clash between themselves and DRX, depending on how the drops go and how the plane goes in particular. So I'm looking at them. But Alpha 7, Nipture, I'm looking back at yesterday's Erangel games. Their rotations were so pristine, were so quick. They would get in a circle before anyone else and in really good POIs typically. So are we going to see that same Alpha 7 in these Erangel games? Because if yes, I think they're really going to solidify a high rank in the top 7.
I mean, I would love to see that for them. It's something that they're desperately needing, and I think they're going about it the right way. You're right. The timing has been pretty impeccable. They've been doing everything they need to do. They've been taking advantage of the teams they need to take advantage of. They're reading the lobby really, really well so far. That doesn't always translate into points, but what I always love seeing is a team that you can see what they're trying to do. You can see what they've got strategy. They're not just doing it randomly, and they've got ideas. And so for a team like Alpha 7, who are obviously a very good team, but have just been struggling lately, it's nice to see that we're actually seeing a team that is like, no, we're on the ball with these rotations. We're on the ball with this timing. It's very hopeful.
What I'm really hopeful about is not just the rotational potential of this team, right? I mean, especially for you, Hodrix, covering Americas, but it's so cool seeing the rise of Guizhou and Obscure on this storied roster, on this storied org of Alpha 7. And last game on Rondo in particular, oh my goodness, they put up such a great showing versus RA, and even I think there was a potential third party happening from APG. And
हमारे इंडिया से सबकी गाफ जल रही है गाइस, पता नहीं क्यों.
So this is Alpha 7 2.0, and I'm here for it. This storyline we're seeing built up in front of our very eyes here in the gauntlet stage is beautiful, and this is Brazil stepping up with a new generation.
भाई पाकिस्तानी का तो मैं देखा भी नहीं मैन. है भी कहाँ है इस राउंड में, है कहाँ है इस ग्रुप में?
Just like, you know what? I think they already surpassed me, and it's crazy to see just how well these other players are doing, right? Just kind of looking at some of the player stats, right? Obscure yesterday, he got 10 eliminations, 12 knocks. The player below him, Guizhou, with 5 eliminations and 4 knocks, right? Carrillo had 4, Revel had 3 eliminations, right? So Obscure more than doubled that of the second teammate, and that's Guizhou, right, Max? So I mean, Alpha 7, we know what these guys are capable of. We saw it in Arrogale, right? They love that rotating to the hard shift side, kind of what we just saw Regnum Karia do in this last match, right? They did that, ended up doing that twice, got a good game under their belts. So
पाकिस्तानी टट्टे कुछ ज्यादा ही.
Alpha 7, I just think it's about just waking up on that consistency. I want to see that a little bit more aggressive Alpha 7 here, Neptura.
सेकंड मैच का भी स्टार्ट होगा बे.
A little bit more calculated rather than that hyper aggressive Alpha 7 they're kind of known for.
Exactly, and you know what? I want to extend that point to the rest of the lobby, actually, because if we look at each team individually, a lot of them, there's very few teams in this lobby that actually play compactly, that actually play very much together, you know, kind of off to their own. Many of these teams spread out and take control from the other teams, and I want to say that so far in the gauntlet stage, we've not really seen that. None of them have been playing how they want to play. We're not seeing the A7 spread out into the end game, you know, 4 or 3 players and just, you know, eating up as much of that zone as possible and controlling it, taking it away from other teams. Kara are not doing it. OG are not doing it. Regnum, we really saw them kind of do it in this game. So I want to say some of that is due to everybody's kind of tiptoeing around each other just a little bit. They're still trying to get a feel for how the lobby is going to be played. But the other half is these zones. I don't feel like any of these zones have been particularly favorable to most of these teams, because even if a zone does go towards a certain team, normally it's one compound in the middle of a field and it's kind of very play. So I want to see maybe either, you know, kind of take these bad zones and run with it as much as possible, or just relax a little, just play how you normally play, because that is historically how you get a win.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Take me back to Raheem. We had a Pachinki circle finish. You know what?
Dude,
give me some of that spiciness. You know, that would be really fun if that happened. You're gonna Xavier to perform potentially, but yeah, circles have been a little bit very open-ended. I would say they're not ending on any big POI. We didn't see that really happening yesterday, especially the one next to ended in nothingness, and you could see the ring. I think you had Alpha 7 just like there's literally no terrain to work with. How do we work with this kind of terrain at the end of the game? I'm hoping we do get some like more city finishes. I think that's going to show a lot of rotational potential from teams. Who's gonna get there first? Who's gonna play defensively? Who's gonna be trying to initiate those crashes? I want to see a bit more variety on our angle, because on day one, Hodrix, I would have to say, was a bit one note to me. So I want to see more variety from some of these teams, depending on, of course, how the circle tends to go.
Yeah, I think we're going to definitely see that here in day 2. I think we did already in Rondo, right? We saw some that underperformed yesterday go nuts. So I'm expecting just absolute craziness here in Arrogale, because every team knows kind of how the end of these tournaments go, right? There's going to be quite a few
मैच स्टार्ट होने वाला है बे.
that are going to be so far down the leaderboards that they don't have any chance of making to the top 7 here, Max, right? So when that happens, typically the last few matches are not typical of what the whole tournament was like, right? The teams that know that they're not going to make it are playing super loose. Maybe they go crazy, pushing everybody, or they're just like, hey, you know what? See you guys in the group stage. We'll make something happen from there, right? So I think considering that, Max, teams more than ever just realize how important it is to put points up here and now rather than waiting to the end of the game, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's going to be changed up quite significantly into this. But I want to go a little bit deeper on what you said about the later stages of the gauntlet change significantly, Hodgix, because I think it brings up a very interesting scenario where, because you need to be in top 7, right? It's very forgiving if you're in, let's say, top 3 in last 2-3 games of tomorrow. Like if you're looking at Thunder Talk, Mad Balls, R8, maybe Orangutan. Are we going to see a situation, because you would be so comfortable, that you can kind of ruin the opportunity for teams down below? Yes, I am talking about potential hot drops, just as a theory. Here, Nitro, just to have a conversation. Orangutan, if they're very comfortable in top 7 heading into tomorrow's last few games, and Alpha Gaming are still struggling, do you get rid of them to clear up that position for the grand finals? Technically, that wouldn't be a bad shout.
I don't think so. I don't think so, right? I mean,
agrees.
that's the thing.
She's so silent. She fully agrees with my point. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a hard one for me because I don't normally love that tactic. For a couple of different reasons. I don't feel like it really does all that much, because if a team is, yes, if it's like, you know, a few points away, whatever, but I don't always love it. But then we're always talking about teams that are further below trying to ruin, you know, some potential chances for teams a few places ahead of them, where here I think in this instance you're talking the other way around, right? It could work. It could, you know, just try and solidify their dominance in certain situations, right? It's like, you know, we're gonna hot drop you in Chumaseta again because you're not doing well, and we want to make sure that going into the finals you're not gonna drop here again. That could be something worth the effort, because otherwise I just don't really see the point.
Yeah, I'm mainly talking for the fact of clearing up a drop location for the finals. I think there's definitely a long-term incentive to do it. For example, you can also, I brought up OG and APG because it's the funny meme one to bring up right now, right? But otherwise, GS Team, I think a lot of teams want to try and get rid of them, such as maybe APG if they're able to climb up the rankings a bit. Alpha 7, Wolves want to try and get rid of them. Maybe even GK because of their Rondo drop location. Again, that's dependent on what the leaderboards look like entering into tomorrow's 6 matches. So yeah, definitely, you got to keep in mind that if you're not comfortable going into day 3, you could be in a little bit of trouble, because if you are sharing a drop location, chances are that team does not want to share it going into the finals, where again, you're fighting for the lion's share of $3 million prize pool. So I would backstab some people for that. Hell yeah. Maybe not you guys.
That's a lot of money.
You guys. You're safe.
You know,
match start on one.
It's typical. You know, I honestly, this is one of my biggest pet peeves about competitive PUBG Mobile, right? Is we don't normally see squads like do these crazy drops towards the end, right? Which is what I would do, because I'm like, hey, why not, right? We got such a huge lead. We could do whatever the heck we want. But for some reason, they continue to play the kind of like the same game they've been playing, right? But one thing that I think really makes a big difference, Neptura, is if you want to take out a squad, you could just say, let's go ahead, and if we get into a fight with them early on, hey, we could just make sure they go out. We could take them out no matter what here towards the end. So I think those mid-game fights, things can get a lot spicier, Neptura.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? You want to take a team out on rotation? Absolutely. That's minimal risk to yourself and all the damage onto them. I would love something like that for that to happen.
Well, let's see what's going to happen here in match number 2. First air gale of the day. Let's take it on over to John and Blake for match number 2.
And you know what that plane means. We are heading into match 8 of our 18 match set here. And day 2 will continue to unfold. We put the recall beacons to rest. Don't worry, if you're not a fan, you're not going to be seeing them here on Erangel. We are going to be back to basics here. So APG, you can't be losing all your players right at the start of the match. That's a free bit of advice. I won't bill you for it.
Very well done. It's good advice as well. Necessary advice on a map with no recalls. But we are heading from the western side, direct south plane path from the north down towards Ferry Pier. A little bit more difficult to head over towards the eastern side of the map, but Alpha 7 getting up nice and early over towards I guess you could call it a slight Zaki North George split that I like to go for here. R8 also out early. R8 consistently being in the vicinity of Alpha 7. Seems like it's a bit of a grudge match going on there. And Thunder Talk dropping very, very close over towards OG on the north side.
That is potentially dangerous for OG. Thunder Talk at the top of the tables. We've seen what they can do. Although, at the moment, OG are a little bit isolated from them in Saverni. It may be that Thunder Talk try and grab a vehicle, head out to the east coast here.
Oh भाई.
Getting stuck into a fight in Saverni this early on, without the circle being confirmed, especially now.
Day 2 match 8.
Got a military circle, yeah, immediately.
Oh भाई मिलिट्री में गया जोन माँ कसम.
Mean that the hot drop on the south side might get a little bit more intense, but it is going to be a military island circle here. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point.
GS actually dropping down towards the southwest here instead of dropping on military base. So APG should have this all to themselves. Wolves, you can see here, getting themselves into vehicles and maybe moving across. But that is a heck of a lot of teams already on Sosnovka this year. It's sort of predicated by the fact that the playing path was so southern. And on the western side, you have to split across the entirety of the map. And that includes the South Island. So quite fortuitous for teams like EK as well as Virtus Pro, who don't normally drop down in this position. They get a really good head start, but also that makes crossing on the western side quite difficult. And I think for Wolves, this is a somewhat of, I might call it a mistake. I think they were so close towards that south side that maybe they should have shifted over towards the east, understanding that was a little bit of an easier one to go for. We do have an in-game interview coming up shortly, but in the meantime, we're going to keep focused on the map here. I think karo makes the correct play. Currently, they're rotating on the east bridge, and I think that's the smarter play here. There's going to be a lot more space to work with going forward for themselves, rather than get themselves mixed in with Virtus Pro as well as GS.
Let's head over to the stage for an interview with Regnum Kaya.
Welcome back to a quick report with the 7WG. This time I'm joined by the PMGO winner, Silas from Regnum Kaya. Silas, yesterday's performance was very lackluster. What was the main thing that you guys changed from yesterday to today?
Valla bugünkü performans pek iyi değildi. Dünden bugüne ne değiştirdiniz?
Aslında gün yeni başladı. Neyin değiştiğini gün ilerledikçe göreceğiz. Rondo'yu biraz çalıştım. Bireysel olarak gezdim. O yüzden bu maçı güzel oynadık.
So it's just the starting of the day, so we will see later what we change. But I personally actually studied Rondo personally, so we will see what's going to happen.
And talking about Rondo, I mean, Thunder Talk getting their back-to-back win. They win the last game yesterday. They win this one. Is that a team that is also causing?
Oh GS और उसकी फाइट हो गई भाई. एक ही लास्ट बंदा है, क्या वो निकाल पाएगा? भाई वो बंदा कैम करके बैठा. नहीं, GS के 2 बंदे डाउन हो गए भाई.
Yani havaya alışma, ilk gün havaya alıştık diyelim. İkinci gün çok fazla, yani bugün çok
एक डाउन डाला, एक डाउन डाला.
Bugün daha çok alışacağız. Sonraki gün daha çok alışacağız. Finale çıkarsak da tam bir şekilde hakkını vereceğiz.
वो पूरा फिनिश डाल दिया उसने.
Used to the Rondo, but right now we will practice more onto it and make it.
ओ भाई GS ने क्या मारा भाई.
All right, well, I'm hoping the performance here in Erangel coming up is going to be good. Back to you guys.
VP पूरी वाइप हो गई भाई.
Well, there you go. We heard a lot from Regnum Kaya, but we heard
GS ने 4 पॉइंट निकाल लिए भाई.
If you guys were keeping track of that, they clean wiped Virtus Pro just then. That's pretty great. Big fan of that. And Regnum Kaya, they're going to go into the drink for a swim too.
Virtus Pro going out like that, fairly unfortunate, I would say, but very, very well done. Really, really big plays there, and that clears out a lot of space for them as well on the map.
बड़ी शान से जा रहा है प्लेस यहाँ पे. साइलेंस यहाँ पे.
Overtake them and push them out of the top 7 now going forward. In the meantime, we've Alpha 7 on a long approach from shooting range all the way down here, but so many teams already making that cross early on. Regnum Kaya also making the swim, but so many vehicles will already be taken here because there were so many teams on Sosnovka early that Regnum Kaya likely for the rest of the game will be moving around on foot.
Yeah, it's very picked clean. You're right. It's just the bones left on that north side of the Sosnovka Island. We'll see what they can do though. They may be able to nab 1 or 2 if they're lucky. If they can get.
ये भाई पूरा
Wait and see.
पानी पे प्लान करके जा रहा है.
South side. This is going to potentially be uncontested here. There's no one really overlooking this beachhead on that south edge. The rear duo for Arena as well. They're playing very, very split. Also on a boat rotate, so they'll be joining up with their teammates fairly soon. The Wolves managed to get through nice and early onto the military island. They are just south of that observatory mountain. They've crashed into the compound on the south side, southeast point of the military island. Now, a lot of teams have made it, but there are a few who haven't. R8 actually very slow to move, and Thunder Talk as well up in Stalber. They're still losing, it seems.
भाई 100 पॉइंट भाई 100 पॉइंट लेके भाई टॉप पे बैठा है भाई. अब भाई अगर टॉप पे जाना है ना तो इन लोग को बहुत में 32
It's very late, in fact, from Thunder
तो
Talk.
30
And with the amount of teams that are already down on the southern island, I mean, getting in there
44
it's going to be very difficult. I think
POV को भी 44 पॉइंट इसमें निकालने पड़ेंगे भाई.
as much utility as possible to make that bridge crossing.
34 के लिए इम्पॉसिबल है भाई.
But I don't know.
पूरे टीम के 36-34 के लिए इम्पॉसिबल है भाई.
Which is what we expected to happen, John, but it doesn't look fun at all. I mean, hearing a vehicle at any time and having to drop the deck here, this is some very sad gameplay where you pretty much have to hide it out as much as possible.
I mean, you've got to feel real jealous as well of teams rotating past you in vehicles. You're like, oh.
जोन के बाहर है भाई.
If only we had
टॉप कुछ भी हो तो एकदम चिल होके खेलेंगे भाई. उनको क्या ही टेंशन है. उनको क्या ही टेंशन है, वो तो एकदम चिल होके मारेंगे. उनको तो कुछ टेंशन ही नहीं है.
Have been basically uncontested, Black. I mean, it's only Virtus Pro who have gone down, but that wasn't on a crossing position. That was on
तीसरा चिकन मारा भाई.
compound once.
कल 2 मारे, आज तीसरा. पहला गेम चिकन बैक टू बैक.
That's what they're looking for at the moment. Mad Bulls, R8,
Matt Tulaka, Matt Flip,
South George, Alpha 7 just passing Lipovka now, Orangutan as well, getting past Prison, past Shelter and Milta. The bridge on the east side currently, I mean, it's Geeke, right, who are going to be overlooking it from that observatory mountain.
I think for Geeke, it's actually a really strong spot to be playing. We've seen
Alpha 7
teams win from that position on the map. It does require you to get a bit of an eastern shift on the circle, but this is already quite eastern anyway. A lot of water off towards Novorabnoya, so it's likely this is going to cut back in towards the mainland. So there is a high chance that it ends up around Observatory in the end game. I don't mind Kara's position too much. I mean, what they're doing is essentially just holding out teams like Alpha 7 who are going to be coming in from that side. Still no sign of Thunder Talk just yet, by the way. Still on the northern side of the map. Looks like they're bowing out this match, it seems.
क्या ब्रिज से जाएंगे वो?
So much more than everybody else at this point. You know, they needed a little break. They're making their way down from Stalber. It is still stage 2, but those crossings.
यूएस और वोल्फ की लड़ाई हो रही है भाई.
You've got to wonder if they're going to be able to make it. That southeast coast is going to be lined with landmines for them to step on if they try and make their way in there. Wolves now in for a fight with GS potentially. GS were able to win it against Virtus Pro. Will the Wolves, who are just behind them on the tables, be able to do?
GS ने अच्छा स्पॉट लिया है और वोल्फ का भी अच्छा स्पॉट है भाई.
I mean, for Wolves, there's again, I think they have a similar issue to Virtus Pro, where we're not seeing them respect a lot of sidelines in these matches. That's the thing that worries me, is that yes, the gameplay is not too bad, the rotations aren't too bad, but there's a lot of these moments where they're making some careless maneuvers, which I would like to see improved overall from quite a few different teams. I mean, Alpha Gaming even falls prey to this as well, where I don't think they're respecting other teams very much at all in these matches, and I think that's what is coming back to bite them. Like, even that last match that we just saw on Rondo, there was a lot of good chances for them to really kick off and start having a great game. Unfortunately, because they kept taking shots, kept taking these angles which were open to the likes of Virtus Pro, open to the likes of Thunder Talk, they slowly blew out players. And I don't think that was great, because from the initial moment, you know, the 4-man split was weird. And then getting further into the game, I was like, okay, there is a 4-man, this doesn't look too bad. But yeah, it ended up being quite disappointing, honestly. But we'll wait and see. I mean, they get to start in Millie base this time, no contest, other than Regnum Kai, I guess, who are hiding over on that north side, just trying to live this game out as long as possible. Trying to find some set of wheels, basically, Joe.
That is kind of the name of the game.
तैर के जा रहा है भाई ये.
Well, I'm sure that Alpha Gaming
ग्लाइडर पे 2 बंदे हैं, क्या बात है.
Position being known there. We've seen this from Alpha 7 in the past, Blank. They've taken to the skies. They are going to be heading over in the glider around on the east point here of Novo, trying to stay out of render distance of everybody else. Looks like they will be able to. just a little bit longer. Very dangerous place to land, though, because Kara have outposts all over. You've got to think they're going to spot this, and if they don't, somebody else will.
I mean, Kara absolutely should be able to look at this one, but you can also see that Alpha 7 is currently trying to play out a render distance as much as possible here. You can see that Obscure and Guizao is going very down towards the south side. I think they're trying to look for a point where they can make their way in, but the amount of teams that are littered along the southern coast, I think it's going to be hard to find a runway and land here. I think most likely it's going to be a crash landing from Alpha 7 in the near future.
I mean, you just don't expect the north side of Novo to be open, right? Like, it should be landing there if you have a map feed up like we do, but that's really difficult to call. The swim as well for Revo and Carrillo, that might draw the attention.
Oh, Kara ne dekh liya bhai. Kara ne dekh liya bhai.
7, I mean, I'm seeing them approach from the south side in that glider. Wolves are going to take shots. GS are going to take shots. This is going to get nasty.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing watching like high-level gameplay at an international scale, because everyone has the same idea. I mean, they were able to get up. Egos only have the pump shotgun. Gets a little bit down.
वो nice connection है, बहुत प्यारा, बहुत प्यारा.
It's not ideal. Luckily able to find one with the angle off on the side from Coops, and that's Revo going.
पूरा eliminate डालो, पूरा eliminate डालो. अरे, बहुत बढ़िया.
But yeah, I think that it's interesting looking at it at an international level. Everyone has the exact same idea, is that the south side is
Alpha 7 का खत्म. Kara किधर है? Kara ने ले लिए 4 point.
All assuming that each other are going to make that same maneuver. The only team that actually falls prey to it is Alpha 7, but alas, they were coming in from a long, long way away. Again, no sign of Thunder Talk just yet. They're still traveling like Frodo Baggins right now on their way to Sosnovka.
There and back again. Goodness me.
तो एपीजी देख रहे कहाँ लेटा है वो बंदा कहाँ लेटा है?
Started obviously in Stalber. They were slowly rotating down. Also, R8 were struggling to make their way on through. As Alpha Gaming seemed to have spotted Regnum Kai.
वो बंदा वहाँ कहाँ चढ़ गया?
Unfortunately, I think Regnum Kai, they've lost a player there. Far from ideal. And they'll be playing on as 3. Still fairly split and still very, very slow.
Yeah, I think for Regnum Kai, it's a rough one. I mean, I think what you have to do there is commit a little bit earlier to an eastern crossing. I don't think that the swim is that bad, but under the assumption the circle is so far off towards that east side that it's likely going to center up on observatory, which it is currently doing, by the way, so we were correct in that assessment. I think that you have to risk the eastern crossing as opposed to trying to play on the beachhead and the 3
उसको बैकअप मिलेगा.
around that area. I think that's what Regnum Kai are trying to go for.
शायद नेड वगैरह नहीं इसके बाद, अदरवाइज नेड होता तो फेंक देता ही.
That way, but I think in this instance it's not correct.
Yeah, maybe different decisions to be made in the future, but military circles always fun.
Oh my god!
GK getting the
Ooh, China.
Oh, you've noticed they're on the map blank. It's Thunder Talk on the North Bridge, and Orangutan are going to be holding them out. The circle goes still towards Geeke's favor on that observatory mountain. Well, let's take a look at this bridge camp, because the health bars on Thunder
Ooh, GG.
below here. They step out.
Nice यार.
The first goes. The next as well. Looking for the spray down. The backup from across the way as well is good. 2 players now stand for Thunder Talk, and the blue zone is hurting.
I think the craziest thing about this is that OG expects the team to be rotating at stage 4.
पूरा ले भाई, बहुत बढ़िया यार. आरू यार और आरू.
It really is. But fantastically done. I mean, Aru's on the ball here, waiting for Thunder Talk to approach, and that is the top.
राइट गया वो, राइट गया वो, राइट गया.
One player from OG, very, very well played. And now they can figure out how they want to move down, because you'd assume at this point for OG that there isn't going to be.
इजी लेना तो इजी लेना भाई, इजी लेना इनको आने मत देना जोन में कि गाफ तोड़ दे इनकी.
Side, in which case OG would have heard it. So this is great in terms for OG for clearing that northern edge and understanding that now they can push south without worrying about their 180. So very smart.
They managed to take 2 players down, but there is still a little bit of life in Thunder Talk, and you can't count them out. A big flex out came through from Orangutan, from OG, both sides, Wizgod and Atanki moving into position to try and pick up the scraps on the last 2 players. They couldn't find the angle. Thunder Talk able to keep it under control for their final 2 players. And this is so open because of all of the teams moving to that south side is what you were talking about earlier. Because of the teams all putting pressure down south, that ability to move is what OG have capitalized on there well on that north side. Now, on the south side, though, it's going to get mucky because the Wolves have to leave the cliff side. They're moving off and they've already been slowed down.
क्या जोन खा रहा भाई? वो बचेगा नहीं, मुझे लग रहा है वो बचेगा नहीं. हाँ, वो बचेगा नहीं.
Yeah, basically instantly have to get that bandage off, and I think for Wolves it's pretty much over. I think Kara set up a really nice lineup here across the hillside. I think that Wolves is pretty much gone. Egos is likely to go down as well. At this point, Kaido.
भाई टीटी निकला है, दोनों बंदे कैसे निकल आए? बहुत बढ़िया मार. 1 एचपी है. ले ले इसको, हील कर रहा है. बहुत बढ़िया.
Spray down, King spotted. Tanky able to clock the shot. AJ last to stand, and OG have only got one more.
इजी लेना, इजी लेना, इजी लेना. अरे बहुत बढ़िया यार. गाफ तोड़ दी. हिंदी चीनी भाई भाई. पहले होता था, अब नहीं.
Does get shut down by Mad Bulls, but R8 is still having presence within this engagement. Reefus seems to be the last player alive here for
Mad Lemon ने निकाल लिया बे.
should do the trick as Lemon weaves.
Mad 71 पॉइंट्स हो गया भाई. R8 के भी 4 बंदे अलाइव है. बंदा निकल गया वो. अरे वो निकल गया.
Push in on the western edge. The route out of that military base is treacherous. R8, they're going to fold back, look to res Marth. Mad Bulls disengaged. They're sending across, heading towards DRX and the remnants of DX Xavier as well, closer towards the middle. We're not going towards the mountaintop this time around, Blank, though. It is going to go down south towards
गाइस ऐसा काय को लग रहा है अपने को चिगार आने वाला है.
By Kara, who are keeping their nerves together here. 7 elims already.
It's definitely not easy for Kara, the movements they've had to make, the decisions they've had to go through, but they've done well. I mean, Ulf is definitely their biggest target in the future over on that eastern side, but even they are sort of held out by the angles from Geeke. Now, the circle does move away from Geeke on that observatory, so they need to find as much information as possible, decide where they're going to end up in the future, because they have to move now, and it's always difficult getting off from the top of observatory. Mad Bulls somehow stay alive with their 2 players, get to the south side of this compound that currently DRX are holding, and I think for DRX, a lot of fans are hoping they do well in this game, because it has been a pretty abysmal start from yesterday for DRX. A lot of games where they're just not able to get through that mid game whatsoever.
एक पर मैट की फाइट हो गई भाई. एक कूद भी गया.
Is that mid game? It's just a lack of life from that squad.
क्या वो रश डालेंगे?
Getting through that mid game, always treacherous, and it's where you earn the majority of your points on the tables, right? It's getting past those mid game situations that starts to earn you those incremental 4-5 extra points that you need per match to really sit up and amongst the top dogs. DX Xavier trying to hold the sliver of a ridgeline. You can see there's blood above them as well from Ulf. That is a really tough spot, but I think DX Xavier are going to be
गीक के खिलाड़ी निकल पड़े. गीक का एक लास्ट आई थिंक खिलाड़ी बचा है. गीक के नहीं, चारों बचे बे. वो अकेला पहाड़ी पे क्या कर रहा है फिर? अच्छा आ गए.
Likely their best bet, right? They can still play high ground angle and then try and sweep down towards that south side.
34 alive है बे अभी.
Little resistance, and DRX actually moves off from that northern position.
Come on OG!
As OG appears, so this is a very sneaky moment from OG to be able
इंडिया का
to
पावर दिखा.
and then find themselves a strong position off the back of that as well. The question is whether R8's been watching this rotate and if they'll be able to find some shots over towards them. But again, so far it has been some fairly well calculated decisions from OG.
I wonder if Ragnarok thinks he's cleared that angle there against Sakura.
ULF और गीक की फाइट स्टार्ट हो गए होते हुए. भाई ये कहाँ बैठा है? इसके बाद अच्छा एडवांटेज है वे. क्या ये निकाल पाएगा? नहीं. Ragnarok.
I'm very impressed that it's actually not R8 that takes shots over towards OG. It's OG taking shots to R8, actually finding a Mori here, and they don't have a lot of time to go up because the circle is enclosing. Now R8's put in a very, very difficult position where OG knows at least 2 players are on that northwest side.
Rotate out.
हाँ फाइट होते हुए
I thought he was sending it there. I think he was breaking
R8
it.
versus OG.
Flex through. R8
Come on, OGs.
regroup, and they find it. They manage to pull themselves back up, grab in the vehicle, not go for the res out wide. Instead, use that little
चल जोन में है, जोन में है.
Prestige backing out as well. Back up to that high ground.
वो कंपाउंड ले लो बे तुम लोग. कंपाउंड है अपने पे.
With this circle shift.
शक्तियों से बताना पड़ेगा. वो कंपाउंड में जाओ, कंपाउंड में जाओ.
Towards GS. Catch will get that info back to his team.
And for Regnum Kari, you've been able to get quite far into this match. I mean, only have 1 player left remaining, and that's wild. But
बहुत बढ़िया.
typically the lone survivor for the squad. OG really taking good use of this hovercraft. No one's really looked at them, so they're having this hovercraft far into the late game. It's
नेड पे नेड हो रहे भाई.
big deal.
हटना मत तुम लोग. फाड़ डालो सबको.
A little bit of damage surely should be done, but the nades just bounce a little bit far. Nade swings back down to the top side.
वो द हेल आरू. आरू संभाल के आतंकित है.
More damage on towards OG now. 1 player fairly low in Aru. And R8 can maybe leverage.
Come on आरू, come on आरू, come on.
OG is keeping them at bay.
ये फटा फटा फटा फटा.
Need another knock. There's no punishment really being seen in return. Finally, Marth goes down. There was a third party.
हील कर रहा है. लेफ्ट में लेफ्ट में नेट कर.
On the high ground to
क्या ये
over towards.
बहुत बढ़िया. अरे नहीं यार.
Now being flushed away. Trying to flex out.
करना करना करना करना. नेट डाल नेट डाल नेट डाल.
Needs to come in clutch. Stopping this fight. The smokes over the ridgeline. They want to keep this momentum going. But R8
फटेगा?
the angle.
नहीं.
Not quite connecting where they need to.
फटा. बहुत बढ़िया.
Goes too long. The cook not quite right there, but that one's good. A tanky.
आरू हील कर. आरू हील कर भाई. आरू हील कर.
So low, but not
अरे यार क्या कर रहे हो?
That is a cracking grenade from Amori over the top towards Wizgod, who's trying to get that off angle towards them. They've laid the smokes down, trying to keep R8 back at this point in time. Give them the.
वो उसको हील नहीं हो रहे.
But right now, it's just not
उसको
working
उसको
out.
रिवाइव नहीं कर रहे. क्या हो रहा है?
Finally, Prestige enters the fray.
moves in from that off angle. That might actually give OG an opportunity here, but another flush comes.
भाई जब थी अपने पे अपॉर्चुनिटी तब नहीं गए भाई. क्या कर रहे हैं?
Something big, but he only gets one. There is no answer.
वो नाइस. क्या नॉक डाला.
Aru out in the open, caught with his trousers down there, and R8 are going to send them away. 5 elims though on the game blank. That's a pretty good result.
Yeah, it's not bad. Gets a backup towards 4.
भाई इतना होल्ड बैक क्यों कर रहे हो यार? घुस के लेना था ना यार.
The tables, Alpha 7 went down as a VP as well as Wolves earlier on. But there is now teams like trying to make up points with this massive point.
कम ऑन यार. कम ऑन गाइस यार. इजी फाइट था यार.
These things get
सब एक एक एचपी थे. तुम्हारी फुल एचपी थी यार.
towards the end of today. Ida finding solace as well, so R8 not done quite yet.
They want a little bit more. Up on the 70-point tallies, we're talking a lot about Thunder Talk's security in towards the finals, but over those 70-point margins, that's also looking pretty safe, Blank, all things considered. They've done a lot of work. And they've put in the effort. And at the moment, they're way over the average that they need to be able to see themselves toward those finals. Kara, got 8 elims so far this match, and they want more too. Marceau hops out, looks for the flush, confirms that one, locks it into the bank. As DXAV hold their divot, they've been in there for a long, long time. And actually, Geeke going down. Okay, the descent from the mountaintop, not going to pan out.
I mean, Kara's played this game phenomenally well. I think that's, you can't deny that from Kara. From their initial hold towards Novorabnoya and then the slow sweep down towards the south side. It has been a real patience game for them and at times really tough, but they've done well off the back of it. Lewis finding catch now as well from Ulf as R8 looks to assault that position. They really only have one option here, which is to try and send down to the rocky outcrop on this south side before they head over towards DRX. DRX has had a bit of circle look. And no one really has had a shout in, but similarly DRX hasn't really found any points from this.
अपने वजह के 51 पॉइंट्स तो है.
Likely,
यहाँ से अगर DX या GS या कारा या इन तीनों में से किसी ने एक भी चिकन मारा तो वो #4 चली जाएगी. इंडिया #5 आ जाएगी. पिला पिला बच गया.
He's got 3 more nades, but finally someone takes a look out his way. And that is going to be the shutdown. And DXavier will fall finally. 5 teams now remaining, Blank. And DRX with this center position. Kara, they've moved 2 players up here. They'll need to regroup back down to their
यूएलएफ का लास्ट बंदा बचा है और जीएत का भी लास्ट नहीं, तीनों बंदे
able to hold the top of the rock for a little bit longer though, and maybe they'll be able to
ठीक है
find
बस
some more eliminations along the way.
कितनी है क्या?
I mean, Kara being at what is it, 14 eliminations now is very impressive. I think the R8 likely are our utility because they had to throw everything in the kitchen sink to take down OG. They were very resilient during that engagement. But I do think for R8 it might be a little bit tricky going forward. Depends how much they were able to steal away from OG.
So nice.
One thing they certainly did steal away is the hovercraft, which is going to give them a little bit of.
भाई डीआरएक्स को चिकन मिलना चाहिए
especially
इस बार.
in these final moments. Again, because OG held on to it for so long, it didn't take any shots. Now it's super useful for this late game as a bit of maneuverable cover. That's a long nade. Feels like the bounce is not too bad.
GS आ गई 6 पे. Kara 46.
Itself, Aaron gets shut down by Marth, who has just been on a tear all day today.
A huge elim count being racked up still.
Oh my,
They want
still
more
going.
for Kara, and it's going to be Marth actually starting to take those shots out the way. See if he can take them down, but R8 lost a player crucially. Amori got flushed out on that situation, could not make it any further. I'm surprised there's still nades in the pockets for R8, but they've got at least one more here. And they want to try and find the opening to Kara. DRX, they've got everything on side right now. It is a question of who's getting second place in my mind. It's going to be very, very difficult to take DRX out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, for TRX, this is a freebie game, right? They haven't really done much whatsoever. This is one of those games that just gets gifted to you now and again. I think that, again, praise should be going through to teams like R8, teams like Kara, who have manipulated the circle very, very well for themselves. Maybe even I'd go ahead and say OG on that north side. I think that there's like those three positions of Kara down on the east, R8 coming through the west, and OG on the north. But for DRX, yeah, there's not much to be said about that squad.
I'm surprised anyone up to the wall yet or moved out a little bit. They're kind of
ज़्यादा चांसेस R8 और DRX का लग रहा है.
timid. Cowards? No.
क्या कारा चिकन निकालेगी?
But
R8 का एक डाउन है.
theirs under control. They know that these two teams outside can't really move up unscathed, but Kara are going to give it a go. They're going to have a crack at it. Poser up first, and they slink
DRX मुझे लग रहा है थर्ड पार्टी केस में है.
There's a knock over.
ये क्या था?
I mean, yeah, that definitely shouldn't be happening.
Huh?
What is that?
Moving on in. Up first, and they slink out wide as well with.
I mean, what is that?
Moving on in. There's a knock over to Hyunbin. Scathed, but Kara are going to give it a go. They're going to have a crack at it. Poser up first, and they slink out wide as well with.
I mean, what is that?
Moving on in. There's a knock over to Hyunbin. I mean, yeah, that definitely shouldn't be happening here. DRX are going to have to go for that res, and that might allow Kara even more leeway. See what CEO's getting up to the wall now. Things are starting to get a little bit dicey as R8 have the pressure of the blue zone pushing up towards them. This is the final zone blank, and it will close dead center on this one. It does go inside the wall, which means that Kara will have to cross that boundary if they want to win this one out.
नहीं नेड गलत जा रहा है कारा का. कारा का नेड गलत जा रहा है.
DRX has there because one's taken up on the res that they could finish out this fight as quickly as possible. The blues being a big issue. CEO able to hit a nasty nade again. I think this is a massive game for Kara going forward. Another nade goes slightly far, bobbles just a little bit too much. That's a wild nade coming through, goes straight out to the outer edge of the zone, but smokes is all that's in the way between Kara and R8 in this moment. And finally, DRX starts to make a move.
DRX को अभी ने आने नहीं देना है. अगर DRX ने मौका गवाया ना, बहुत मतलब बहुत हक्कू है भाई. ये तो फिर गलत है. ओ जी भाई.
They will find two more eliminations on their tally. A big nade from CEO. Will there be an answer from DRX? They're allowing
3v4.
The spokes there covering so much of their sideline.
I mean, the big difference right now is Kara is incredibly hot coming into this engagement, whereas DRX feeling very cold off this game. They've not done too much. It's the 4v3 and the 19 elims on this game for Kara. The Crows are flying strong here, but they take initial knock. They're trying to get the damage done. Hyunbin alive for the time being.
Nade करना भाई. What?
Quite able to finish the job though. They swap over to the next vehicle and it leaves Poser as a solo. DRX finally.
Oh, wow.
Standing. Hyunbin gets the res. One knock is all they'll find, and
DRX,
another
chalo.
20-point Ilium game. They will go down in second place. DRX able to hold their nerve right at the end.
Every single buckle blown off the back of that backpack in those final moments for Hyunbin. But the fact that he stays alive actually is the thing that gives him the chance, because so much time was wasted there for Kara versus Hyunbin. I think if they get that knock, there's a potential for a 3v4. I think Kara is really feeling that game, but still 19 points. That's a 25-point game coming through from Kara. Incredible scenes here at the Gauntlet.
A massive jump up for Kara. That has got to feel real good to be able to leapfrog all the way up the tables as they have just done. We've been waiting for it. We've seen some stuff from them previously in their regional positions, but up until now, sort of a little bit lacking. They did have a third place towards the end of yesterday, but it is good to see them finding a little bit more power into these situations.
Absolutely. And I think for Kara, again, they played it well. They have strong players on side. They're not the most well-known players in the world from their particular region, but they have all played for multiple veterans of the game, which is very good to see. But again, I think for DRX, it's just a little bit lackluster win. In the meantime, we'll see what the desk had to say about that match.
Oh, bhai, abhi tea time hai.
hurts to see, but hopefully EA could definitely happen here. I mean, it's definitely not too late, even for a team like, you know, Geek, who's all the way last place right now. 18th, I mean, I don't think they have any room. I mean, I think it's putting up double-digit points.
9th मैच स्टार्ट होने जा रहा है. अभी तक ओजी का एक भी चिकन नहीं आया है, बट पोजीशन अच्छी निकाली हमारी टीम ने गाइस.
So dang well. You really can't wait towards tomorrow for sure.
No, absolutely not. It's going to be far too late for that. I mean, we have seen big things from some of these teams in the final day, APG in particular, that like to just bring out an entire different APG to how it's been the last 2 days, but I wouldn't count on it. I think the lobby is too stacked. These other teams are sick up too early. That, you know, we're seeing things from Ulf. They're starting to make more moves. I mean, EA are starting to do. We've seen some things from them. It's a bit early just yet. No, they haven't been doing exactly what we wanted them to do, but there is still time for them to do it. And I think so. There's a lot of questions, I think, for the lower half of the leaderboard, because there's going to be the top half of the leaderboard that are just going to take advantage of that slowness now, because they've already stepped up to the plate. Now that makes it more difficult for the others.
I want to touch upon your point of Ulf stepping up a little bit, doing a bit more. They are definitely a little bit more present in the later stages, but they're still not as aggressive as I would like to see them be. Like,
No,
you have
not at all.
Solis, again, you have like the Rising Star touch, and many times Aaron. There was great play on Zeus last year during PMGC. They are not. Then actually, I'm going to be very harsh here, Hot Chicks. They're nowhere near the level of play that I know these guys can provide in these matches. They're nowhere near. I want to see a big change-up, because at this current pace, I don't think they deserve to be in the finals. So I need to see them at least attempt to take fights, and that alone would give me a little bit more hope that Ulf maybe can make it to the next step and reach the finals.
Well, that's totally fair. We've seen a lot of teams on that second page do it. Will Ulf be able to do it right here, right now? Let's see if it's going to happen. Let's go ahead and take it on over to John and Blank to wrap up the first half of the gauntlet.
चलो भाई स्टार्ट हो गया रेंगर.
Alrighty, let's go for another Erangel. We'll see if we're going to get another military island. It would be interesting. It would be exciting. But we are going to be heading on in. My name is John Allen. With me is, of course, Blank. We're going to be getting stuck into this one. A close down at the end there for DRX to keep things under control. But we'll have to maintain a hopeful situation that we'll see something a little bit better from them this time around, even if it will result in a win. I would much just prefer to see another karo performance.
The 19 Elim game was phenomenal. Very, very fantastic stuff to watch unfold. And I mean, overall, their game plan was pretty solid from start to finish. Sadly, weren't able to take on DRX. And again, it's from basically an open field with a couple of trees versus an entire compound. So DRX definitely had some advantage there, as well as having a bit more utility in those final moments. The fact they're able to hold them off for so long, it's like one of those situations where karo, if they don't get that initial knocks on DRX, they don't finish off R rate, and I think that both get swarmed by DRX in that end game. But this is a west to east lane path. Very kind one, first kind one we've seen today. We'll see where the circle ends up here. Thunder Talk taking a slightly different approach from last game, luckily for us, because that last one was a bit weird, honestly, overall. But we are heading over towards the eastern edge of the map, around Rozhok, Potato Hill area, just south of Yaz. So still Yaz Field in this one, John, but plenty of fun compounds to play this one out.
Yeah, we are going to see maybe a little bit of a diversion for Thunder Talk. Of course, they are close to karo, though, so maybe a little bit of danger there.
क्या ओजी का चिकन आएगा गाइस.
Keeping an eye on that Milta area, the circle a lot more centered towards that zone in the middle. A little scrap for Alpha Gaming, and actually they're going to be able to win this time at the start of the game against one of the players from Wolves. They can't quite get there in time to pick him up, as Coops will be taken down. We are going to be heading to a little interview with Poser himself from karo after that incredibly massive game. 19 elims. Let's find out how they did it. Oh, maybe not just yet. We've got about 20 seconds before that one. But either way, they are going great to be tuning in for it. It was incredibly monumental. They were on for maybe a 23 elimination chicken dinner blank, but
welcome back
they
to a
were
quick report
denied.
with the 7WG.
We'll see what
Ladies
they have
and
to say.
gentlemen, we have a new record for eliminations in none other than Kara Esports. I have Poster here with me. You guys were working those 2-2 splits wonderfully this last match. When did you decide to go to E Arena?
Bu son maçta 2-2 oynamakla çok güzel oynadınız. Nasıl, ne zaman Arena'ya üstüne saldırmayı düşündünüz?
Nova'nın içindeyken alan
Kara
bir
buğdu.
Yarana ile oynarımız aynıydı. Ondan sonra ilk önce kıyı temizledik, sonra da onları temizledik.
Allah.
İyi oynadık.
So the circle actually go on our gameplay with Arena. So when we saw that, we first clear the edge and then we jump on them.
And with this performance, I mean, it's going to shoot you up the leaderboard. What does that mean for the team?
Valla bu puanlama sizi sıralamada üst kısma çıkarttı. Nasıl hissediyorsun bu takım için?
Şu an özgüvenimiz daha da yerine geldi. İhtiyacımız olan böyle bir maçtı. Henüz potansiyelimizi göstermedik. Daha yeni başlıyoruz.
So we got our confidence backs up, and then with this, we will show our performance that we can do better.
Hey, I'm hoping it continues on. 19 eliminations. I know the Turkish crowd is going to be hyped. Back to you guys.
Absolutely. It would be brilliant to see if they can carry that forwards. It is, however, very rare to see teams have two performances like that in a tournament. It would be something special. But we can also Thunder Talk, though. They definitely had more than one of those performances. It is a rarity.
Thunder Talk definitely a rarity in our games overall. 100 points, hit the century. Weren't able to get anything done on the last match, but again, they hit triple digits and thought themselves, let's take a short break. And we'll get right back to it over on the next angle here.
पिछले गेम में उनका कोई भी पॉइंट नहीं आया फर्स्ट एंगल चिकन मार के इसमें कोई भी चिकन नहीं आया है और R8 मैड इन दोनों में टक्कर बहुत खतरनाक हो रही है ओह 455 हो गई भाई
It's around 10th place where we see our
50 कारा ने चिकन मारा था ना
44 to 37. So there is a lot of teams battling out for this top 7 here, and it should make for an incredibly
49
fun
points पीछे
final
बे
day tomorrow, where all the teams could be dipping in and out from that top 7.
वो क्या नॉक डाला भाई
Spray down onto Coops. They couldn't quite get away unscathed with the vehicle. Doc happy to have that point on side. A nice pickup found there. As we hop towards the middle of the circle, though, we're on board with Regnum Kaya, who have managed to take a very, very central compound, really important position as well, with a lot of sight lines out to control of the teams who are very likely going to be moving in fairly soon. We're now into our 6th minute of the match, and we'll see just who's going to be on the road nice and quickly. Hopefully, yeah, Thunder Talk, they're already moving. So we're not going to see another massive delay until, what is it, like zone 8 or something like that. And they decided, oh, yeah, we should probably get towards the circle. R8 did it too, though. So, you know, it's not just them.
It isn't. I mean, it was possible. I mean, it was fun watching that little breakdown of the paths taken with R8 really on a bit of a journey themselves down from that northwest side, starting just underneath Alpha 7 there. But having way more success from their position. I mean, even just getting on that western side anyway was very, very tough. I mean, there were so many teams there at the start of the game. I do think Virtus Pro going down so early actually opened up a little bit more possibility for space taking on the western side of Sosnovka.
Come on, man.
Some fortuitous stuff did happen. I think for Kara, they didn't quite get that benefit. They really did have to fight it out.
Connections ढूंढने पड़ेंगे
by obviously the amount of eliminations they were able to pick up in that last game.
निकल ले आतंकी भाई निकल ले
On our screens, just the western side of Shelter. Just waiting to see what they want to do
Alpha
in
7
terms of scouting, where players are coming from. Regnum Kaya left fairly early from their position, headed around where Dip is. And we'll just hold that out. With Ulf coming in from their northwest side, that is something they'll have to worry about in the short future.
Alpha 7 moving in on that north.
R8
Over that Roshok Bridge, uncontested on the crossing. A little bit more treacherous down towards the south. R8 moving out now from South George. They're moving around the foothills of Everest, trying to head out east. Behind the Mad Bulls, though, they will, if they want to go over the north side of Pachinki, they'll have to go through the Mad Bulls there, or try and find another way around to try and get into this one unscathed. It's easier said than done. Although Mad Bulls, they're leaving players over in Sunken. They're wanting to control that bridge crossing to the north, I suppose. Get a little bit of info, a little bit of scouting from Tulika. on the Mad Bulls. As GS move over the north, they're heading over the north of the Yaz Lake.
I mean, I think for E-Arena, heading down this way is not too bad. But again, we haven't really seen that early game prowess from E-Arena so far. I mean, round GK as well. Yasnaya is easily shared. With only 2 players there, I am slightly worried for them slightly. I think the rest of the team needs to get back in action soon. The Mad Bulls, though, like you're saying, over on that Western Rozhok side, coming through past school towards Chopsticks. This is always such a weird starting circle for a lot of our squads, just purely because what they're struggling with right now is deciding where they want to play going forward. Because as we head into Zone 2, like there's plenty of positions which are very, very valuable, but just not quite yet, because we don't know where it's centering up. Now we know that you kind of want to take some of these potentially even some of these.
ओ जी इसमें सेंटर पे बढ़िया जोन बना है
Playing over towards the southern side of the coast is not bad here.
भाई कल जितने जोन थे एंगल के सारे सेवेरनी साइड बने थे आज के जितने ये मिलिट्री बेस साइड बन रहे हैं
Everybody on a mad dash south, trying to get into a very limited set of positions. Ulf got to be charging in from that north side, a little bit split. They've got a backstop there for Solus, trying to regroup. Regnum Kaya clashing with DRX on the inside of a compound. But you've got Ulf.
डीएक्स और वोल की फाइट होते हुए डीएक्स का एक नॉक है, वोल का एक नॉक है. क्या ये नेट कुछ कनेक्शन बना पाएगा? देखते हैं. एक बंदा उठाया जा रहा है. वोल के सारे बंदों ने एक फिनिश पूरा लेते हुए नेट को किया गया. क्या ये नेट को डायरेक्ट घुसते हुए और डीएक्स ले भाई नॉक निकाला. बहुत ही बढ़िया. क्या यहाँ पे वोल का एक खिलाड़ी 1v3 कर पाएगा? नहीं नहीं, वो अपनी गांव बचा के भागते हुए दोस्तों. कारा लेविस ने थर्ड पार्टी कर दी है. कारा ने भाई कर दी नहीं, बट ये भी फॉल बैक डाल रहा है. लेविस भी फॉल बैक दे दिया है.
That's unfortunate. I think DXAV can't really leave from this building either with the 2 sight lines that are set up here, John.
देखे 2 बंदे खत्म हो चुके हैं.
They weren't able to extract the full 4. They weren't able to do any more than that, which is unfortunate. You could excuse it maybe, you know, if you were able to get up to 4 points, right? And then no matter what, it's an okay game. You will keep yourselves in the conversation for 7th place, where DXAV currently sit.
कैन कारा ले भाई इनके बाद अच्छा होता भाई, वो निकाल सकते हैं.
Tables are going to be with the number of points that Thunder Talk are earning, and Kara having that oversight, they'll be all too happy to snaffle away any points that dare to step out of line.
यूएलएफ भी आ चुके हैं पहाड़े पे. ओह मैड लेमन, क्या यहाँ पे कनेक्शन निकालेंगे? क्या यहाँ पे फ्रेक्स निकालेंगे अपनी टीम के लिए? देखा पड़ेगा. नहीं, ये इन्होंने भी फॉल बैक कर लिया है क्योंकि अभी जोन उतना छोटा हुआ नहीं है और बंदे सोच रहे हैं हमें पोजीशन पॉइंट भी लेनी है. अल्फा 7 और वीपी की फाइट मुझे लग रहा है. क्या यहाँ पे फाइट होगी? पोल का ये बंदा भाई, क्या कारा ने यार वोल का बंदा लास्ट था, वो भी चला गया. चल बता भाई, वो भी ओजिस को जोन निकलना पड़ेगा भाई. ओजिस को जोन निकलना पड़ेगा. डे 2 मैच 9 चल रहा है गाइस, और हमारी ओजी ऑलरेडी 5th पोजीशन पे कल से है भाई. बहुत बड़ी बात है. इंटरनेशनल लॉबी पे जाके डे 1 से लेके पहले मैच से लेके #5 #4 पे है. अब मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ भाई ये चिकन कब आएगा? विदाउट चिकन ये हाल है. सोचो अगर 2-3 चिकन मार दी होती हमारी टीम ने तो क्या होता भाई. हमारी टीम थोड़ा मतलब भाई गाइस, मुझे ये लग रहा है ना थोड़ा प्रेशर तो होगा भाई, क्योंकि वो उनके गेम प्ले से ही दिख रहा है. क्योंकि वो BMI से जब खेले तो वहां पे मैं देख रहा था वो कैसा खेले, और यहाँ पे मैं देख रहा हूँ वो कैसा खेले. ठीक है, बंदे नॉक डालते हैं बट पुश नहीं डाल पा रहे भाई बंदे, पता नहीं क्यों. और ये आतंकी और पे हमला होता हुआ. क्या यहाँ पे फाइट होने वाली है? क्या यहाँ पे फाइट होने वाली है? यूएलएफ वालों से फाइट हो चुकी है, इनके 2 साइड बंदे हैं गाइस।
So they have got multiple angles. A run up made a little bit harder because of that. With 4 players alive.
ये भी जोन में जाते हुए।
3 in the middle there, or maybe they are all 4 packed in. We'll have to wait and see just how they can hold the dead center here. They're in a little bit of a valley blank, so it is very much a standoff. They are committing to this location. It will be very, very difficult, if not impossible, to leave it. So they need to get the value in the mid game here with Elims.
Yeah, I think it's a risky play, but it's high value reward if this does continue to center up because it's very much open ground around them. Like you say, leaving through the open ground is treacherous, but if they have to deal with teams walking up towards them, it should be a fairly easy hold. So I think for OG, it's a case where you play this position and, like you say, you are just committed to it now. But it is fairly central. They had no real other options other than playing sweep on the edge. And I think they're more comfortable playing this anyway. They're quite decent when it comes to holds. So we'll see what OG can do from this spot. It's a slightly early commit, though, at stage 3.
Come on, OG.
It is so dead central and in a compound. I think you make that call here and now.
Jafar angles over towards Virtus Pro, the rest of GS as well. They moved out to the north side.
बंदे जोन में जाना चाहते हैं वीपी वाले।
They're being crushed down a little bit here. Virtus Pro have to turn around. They don't.
ओह ड्रिफ्टें चल रही हैं भाई, ड्रिफ्टें चल रही हैं।
Little sweet drift there for Virtus Pro. Maybe they're reorienting. Maybe they do want to get.
यूं करके
Okay, no, they're just.
अभी क्या बोलूं, स्नैक भाई ने कल क्या बोला था मेरे को,
Someone's got to look after that. That's very
यूं करके स्ट्राइक आएगा, यूं करके तेरा चैनल डिलीट। ये चीचा भाई क्या बोला था बे। अब ये ड्रिफ्ट मार रहा है, यूं करके गाड़ी आएगी, यूं करके लॉबी पहुंचेगा।
Dox is not that bad. The question is how well you can hold it as a solo team. It does get to those points later on where you end up sharing that position on the east and the western side of it, often leaving the west.
East or west, India is the best. Come on, guys.
I think that for Thundertalks, this is a good spot to play in.
Kill them all for your. What the hell? Come on, guys. Kill them all for your country. Kill them all for your fans.
Just stick to their guns.
Reefus on the inside, not going to win that one. Arena able to find it in an immediate shutdown. Alpha Gaming not in a position to go for the backup there, and
Ziolina make them pop
across the way. That's a couple hundred meters out there. A long shot coming on through. In the meantime, GK.
आरजी और गीक की फाइट होते हुए क्या गीक का एक बंदा डाउन होता हुआ, अरे आरे का भी एक बंदा डाउन होता हुआ, क्या गीक यहाँ पे पूरी टीम एलिमिनेट कर पाएगी? और नो, गीक का सैफ भी डाउन होता हुआ। आरजी ने भी, केविन भी जा रहा है, केविन भी आ रहा है। क्या वहां पे वो बंदे को स्पॉट कर पाएगा? क्या यहाँ पे 2 बंदे से फाइट ले पाएगा? क्या ये 1v2 हो पाएगा? मुझे लग रहा है ऊपर से कूदेगा बंदा। ओ गीक भाई थर्ड पार्टी कर दी डीआरएक्स ने यहाँ पे। क्या बात है भाई।
I think the craziest thing is Kara gets a shot in there, by the way, from all the way down the southwest side, able to pick up Loxy as he jumps out the building. Regnum Kari just melted under the pressure there, and DRX.
ओ भाई डीआरएक्स ने अच्छा फायदा उठा लिया भाई, डीआरएक्स ने अच्छा फायदा उठा लिया। यूएलएफ और टीटी की फाइट होते हुए क्या यहाँ पे यूएलएफ वाले टीटी को लॉबी पहुंचा पाएंगे? एपीजी यहाँ पे भाई, इसमें भी थर्ड पार्टी चल रहा है। वाह कसम। ओ भाई क्या ये ग्रेनेड से किल्स उठा पाएंगे? ना ना भाई, पूरी टीम वाइप हो चुकी है वहां पे। पीछे से टीटी किंग को पड़ेगी क्या? यहाँ पे टीटी किंग को नॉक डाला जाएगा। यहाँ पे 1v2 की सिचुएशन होते हुए एक बंदा बहुत ही लो है। क्या यहाँ पे इनको कवर प्रोवाइड हो? ओ ये शॉटगन का बहुत ही बेहतरीन तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया जाए, बट उनकी टीम वहां पे बैकअप पे आ चुकी है। नहीं, बैकअप नहीं आ पाया भाई, टॉप का बैकअप नहीं आ पाया। आरेड भाई, आरेड भी खत्म भाई।
One player left alive for R8 and nowhere near this engagement.
क्या ये मौलिक कुछ कनेक्शन बना पाएगी? नहीं नहीं नहीं। क्या यहाँ पे भाई आरेट की पोजीशन पीछे से नेट, क्या ये नेट कुछ कनेक्शन बना पाएगा? नहीं। नेट पे नेट आया जा रहा है, नेट पे नेट फेंका जा रहा है आरेट का। भाई नाम भी तो ऐसे पढ़े नहीं जा रहे मेरे को। उस शेक में एक नेट चाहिए भाई, ठीक है, उस शेक में एक नेट चाहिए और वो बंदा वहीं खत्म हो जाएगा। आरेट का एक बंदा बचा है जिसका नाम है अमूरी गाइस, ठीक है। अमूरी की मूरी काटो और उसको जल्दी लॉबी भेजो, ठीक है।
Yeah, I mean, OG can continue to play on this north side, but again, it's this question of where do they go next. I mean, luckily because they cut out so much.
क्या ये नेट? ओ नहीं नहीं नहीं, वो गाड़ी लेके निकलेगा। क्या क्या क्या क्या क्या क्या? नक्का नक्का नक्का नक्का पक्का हो गया गाइस।
Playing this though is where they're not splitting up into a singular
स्मोक डाला उन्होंने।
docks because they don't want to give an opportunity for a team like Ulf there.
क्या यहाँ पे कुछ कनेक्शंस बनेंगे? और ये नेट से पूरी टीम वाइप, आरेट की पूरी टीम खत्म होते हुए गाइस लॉबी पहुंचा दिया।
And then rely on teams playing on the cliff to basically do the job for them.
क्या यहाँ पे
Push them on that hill.
ओजी
It's an interesting
वीपी पे थर्ड पार्टी करेगी?
very very well for Thunder Talks.
नहीं नहीं नहीं नहीं।
Arena going to have to make a move, and maybe Thundertalk will take some shots out their way, but I think Virtus Pro are going to be more preoccupied with holding them out. Maybe a drop down the cliff face, maybe go for a swim here for Arena. Tourniquet certainly
अल्फा 7 भाई कल इन्होंने भी 2 चिकन मारे थे भाई।
Alpha 7
नहीं नहीं, एक ही मारा था, सॉरी माय मिस्टेक, एक ही मारा था इन्होंने।
charge across the open ground here towards Mad Bulls, or well, what's left of the Mad Bulls rather. There's only 2 still standing there.
ए और वीपी का मुझे लग रहा है फाइट होने वाला है।
Game's gonna slow down a lot, but Kara actually has a
ओए क्या उतार दिया इसने
there are 4 players as well looking for another huge game for them.
भाई। वीपी ऊपर आ गई है भाई।
Consistently taking pot shots at teams, so they've been very proactive from their position. Even if there is a squad 200, 300 meters out, they've
वीपी ने पोजीशन तगड़ी पकड़ के रखी है भाई।
that way. And the more casualties that they can cause within this lobby, the easier
ये
their
इनको
games
देखो,
become. Because again,
वहाँ फाइट चल रही है, इनको तैरना है।
center here, more and more fights going to be taking place out in the open, and these are not
क्या
fights
टीटी
that
का किंग उसको
gonna live with 4 of
कर
you
पाएगा?
players. You're likely gonna have to sacrifice
अल्फा 7 वर्सेस मैड।
to win an engagement.
आरेट तो बाहर हो चुकी है, मैट के पास चांस है सेकंड पोजीशन को
To the docks for Thundertalk.
अपना करने के लिए, ठीक है गाइस।
Laying low, not wanting to get involved. May have sightlines on it. The question is, does he want to pull the trigger here, expose his position, let them know he's there? Tourniquet moving up.
यूएलएफ का एक बंदा बचा है। यूएलएफ का कितना? यूएलएफ का लास्ट बंदा बचा
I
है।
have no doubt
और
he
ये का
knows
कितना है?
exactly what's
ये
going
के
on.
2 बंदे बचे हैं,
And he is opting to
डीआरएक्स एंड अल्फा 7, वीपी, ओजी और कारा। और ये इनको
much more valuable to play with the protection.
ओ व्हाट द हेल!
Play for it later. Tourniquet steps up and he wins that. How on earth do you win that? Stepping up out of the water.
भाई किंग को क्या मारा उसने?
Immediately lands the shot of the Shing. That's got to feel real bad on the south side there, and that's going to move King out to have to go for this rest, to have to try and pick up their teammate. This is Aaron's time to shine, and he steps up and does exactly what he needs to. That is what he was waiting for. And Thundertalk
इसको भी स्पॉट। अब ये नहीं बचेगा, अब ये नहीं बचेगा गाइस, अब ये नहीं बचेगा।
Bad indeed. Thundertalk
क्या ये बचेगा?
we're seeing it's going to be a difficult pickup.
बच गया बच गया बच गया। आई थिंक ये बचेगा, आई थिंक ये बच जाएगा।
Okay as well.
क्या टिंग वहां से उसको स्पॉट कर पाएगा?
You know he's in the water, so you look to just
उसको अब अच्छी पोजीशन मिल गई है और ये अब हील करके, मुझे तो लगता है भाई ये टीटी का गेम खराब करने वाला है। ये टीटी का गेम खराब करने वाला है।
We are surfing here over on the docks, and Thundertalk are currently dealing with the tsunami. Okay.
side shift, they have to push out, so they're going to have to
भाई
lead
ओजीज
well.
क्या
Does
जोन
complete
प्रेडिक्शन कर रहे हैं भाई।
and look to lead
चुम्मा बे,
solos to
चुम्मा।
their devices, but that's going to be difficult because you've got Virtus Pro and
भाई
who are gonna
फर्स्ट
have
मैच
to
से
do
लेके
everything.
भाई
Quick knock from
बंदे लास्ट जोन के, भाई लास्ट 4-5 जोन बंदों पे ही बन रहा है भाई।
trying to be doing it as the circle starts to close inwards, but Voston with an immediate response over towards that top side gets a good shot over towards the tanky, leaving just him. and
ऐसे ही नहीं टीम इंडिया है बे।
Whether Virtus Pro even want to go for a wraparound on that side. I mean, OG has to call for some slight reinforcement.
क्या स्टिंग को, अबे इसको स्टिंग ही बुलाऊंगा मैं, समझ रहे हो? बट स्टिंग ने वहां पे पीक देके रखी है। अगर वो बाहर निकला तो वो खत्म होता हुआ। नहीं नहीं, कनेक्शन ढंग के नहीं हुए, वहां पे मोली डाल दी गई है।
Cover that re-knock over towards Virtus Pro.
ओ अब ये खत्म हो सकता है। एक एचपी बचा है लास्ट,
Pro down.
अब ये खत्म। हाँ
Fight. Tourniquet may have been-
भाई उसने
he will indeed go to
अच्छे नॉक्स निकाले थे भाई, वो अच्छा गेम खराब कर सकता था बंदा, बट
Talk, and it could have been
नेट थे उसके पास तो उसको नेट बुक करके फेंकना चाहिए था भाई
well there.
पहले ही, बट उसने
Perfectly. And actually maybe a opportunity.
यूएलएफ का लास्ट बंदा बचा है, ये भी पता नहीं क्या उंगली करेगा टीटी को.
Yeah, currently we're in the top 10, so 3 more teams.
GC
will
versus
be
DRX.
before we start hitting.
GS versus DRX.
DRX holding on to their
GS का
position
लास्ट बंदा बचा है.
as GS attempted to assault their position. Hyunbin on the top stairs, looking for Icon right now.
नेड कुक किया गया है यहाँ पे.
Meantime, the roll-up
क्या आइकन यहाँ पे इनका 1v3 1v2. ओ नहीं
sent back over towards them. GS finally going down there. But
भाई.
it is going to be OG holding quite well. The reses though are starting to come through. There's
VP
one.
versus AKOP. Come on guys.
Three knocks coming in from Virtus Pro. They stop though. They move sideways, move laterally on the fight. And OG. not
Come on
really
OG. Come on. Come on. Fuck them all.
Will they put them in the right place here as the nades bob forwards? Not quite on the target. Haven't seen the retreat here.
Kill them all guys. TT ने थर्ड पार्टी मार दी. Come on. ये क्या? TT करो. Come on guys. ये नेट. एक और नोट है. एक और नेट. Come on. Come on. What the hell?
Get these points here because Thundertalk are moving
Wow,
the
is
slivers of
OG
HP.
going down?
First Pro go down, and 3 players from Thundertalk still stand tall, but OG, they've taken a knock. What have Thundertalk just done? What?
I mean, DRX were taking shots across the way at OG whilst that all was unfolding. I don't know how Thundertalk gets away with it, but they absolutely do. AJ with the run down the vehicle, smearing VP across the fields.
Hey,
KOP trying to get his HP bar back up again. A nade sent across towards the tree.
Come on, AK. Come on, AK. Come on.
Along the edge, the blue here could be devastating, and it is close.
वहाँ पे नहीं है भाई. जोन में ही है वो. जोन में ही है. Come on AK.
Find it there, stepping out towards the blue Thundertalk. Get back in the vehicles, playing true chaos strategy.
भाई उनकी HPयाँ देख भाई तू. इनकी HPयाँ देख ले तू.
Could do it seemed. He's going to be running out of ordnance fairly soon. Drops the last, covers his retreat with that flash. That's going to allow Thundertalk to disengage. Play on as 3 from here, which is crazy. Kara, I don't think they're going to be able to do the same thing, but I don't think they need to. With the circle as it sits, they keep in on the south side, and they may.
कारा गाड़ी में क्यों बैठा है? हट जा.
Well, they couldn't quite before.
Yeah, it's a very strong position, but again, we are still going out into open ground now. I think OG's got
पूरा गेम ओपन में हो गया भाई.
exactly where they're playing from, but no, they need to move down towards that south side. So DRX looking to set themselves up early, or just rotate into the building along the way from Kara. Lewis does have a nade.
ओ नेट से क्या नेट मारा भाई? क्या प्री नेट था?
On target. Soez gets knocked out with a nade to the forehead.
Hits him with the swift.
Come on, उस पे प्री फायर दे.
Knockdown, nearly getting Hyunbin the pan.
गाइस ये पोजीशन तो हमें दिखती है बट हम ओजी का एक बंदा डाउन हो गया भाई.
Been able to get a lot of elims so far this match. It seems like they heard me call them a little bit cowardly last time around. They're already up to 10 here, blank. And they want to add 4 more to the tower.
DRX.
If they can break records themselves.
DRX वर्सेस करा.
The flash comes through.
लास्ट बंदा बचा है DRX का.
Hyunbin
क्या
on the
यहाँ
top.
पे
DRX have the flash sent their way. Drops down in the middle. Lewis holding the back line.
दो बंदे हैं.
Player for DRX faced off against 2 on the inside.
भाई चाइना क्या मार रही है भाई घुस के.
Just rock straight up over towards DXAV and handle them. This is so weird from Thundertalk considering
दोनों ने एक नंबर पे.
gameplay from them we're used to seeing. Good nade from Nate T himself over towards Singh, leaving Thundertalk, I believe, just on the final player now as OG remains stalwart on that north side.
They can get the reses in the shack for Thundertalk though. There are still 2
Come on, OG.
available. The question is, does DXAV have a nade? Stow Kara on this hold. Poser is down, but they're getting that resed up very quickly. DRX slowed it all the way out here. You can see they're on 10 elims still, but with only 2 players. The wind's been knocked out of them just a little bit. QXC wants to try and drop down there, and he will get the shot. Over at the Poser, the re-knock is strong. Gonna keep Kara from overwhelming them on the repeats here. He goes in for more. He wants to find
Whoa!
out, but there's his teammate going down. Lewis steps out, put into a shotgun. A barrel straight into his face, and Lewis goes down as well. They will finally take him down, but they lose a player, and they have to get these reses fast, blank.
भाई नेट टी को देख लिया गया है यहाँ पे. AKOP यहाँ पे कुछ.
A good shot from AKOP will take down sighting almost instantaneously as well.
AKOP के पास ग्रेनेड्स नहीं है.
They got to figure out how they want to play this one out because again for OG they are passing through open ground.
ओ ये क्या टाइम पे निकला है भाई. क्या यहाँ पे थर्ड पार्टी करने आया है?
Nate immediate reposition from his side. This is a good survival play for him. Again, DXAV has been on the receiving end of survival plays for quite some time now. We haven't seen a truly dominant game from
तो ये घर
It's disappointing as well, given their prowess, given their record this year. They've had a really strong showing, but it's just
भाई
not
उनको नहीं
coming
पता
through
है
yet in the gauntlet. We'll see
भाई
what
एक एक
happens.
एचपी ये नेट
Being thrown out by Thunder Talk still.
It's good,
Surprised they
actually.
got anything left and they find an opening. You're kidding me. Thunder Talk just seem untouchable here. Nading Aru off the tree, doing a lot of
कम ऑन मोर
visible now.
बहुत बढ़िया ओ एक नंबर वो ले किल ले बहुत प्यारा एक है यार
And a second as well. The double knockdown, but across
बहुत
the
बढ़िया कोई ना एक कोई ना
Thunder Talk going. It's all up the WizGod. It looked like OG might have had the game under control there, but Kara now with the numbers advantage.
I'm just so confused of what Thunder Talk's doing in this game. Sighting sending it out again over towards OG.
ओ
It's
ओ
completely
भाई बंदा ओ
of Thunder Talk this
अरे रे बंदे ने 2 डाउन किए थे
CEO is able to put him down, fires him from the company, and at least will be able to remain up.
वेज यार कुछ निकाल ले मेरी जान
Up, and in the meantime,
ओजी वर्सेस
take down Thunder Talk.
कम ऑन मैन कम ऑन उनके दोनों के
Technically, as the blue continues
वीज यार बहुत अच्छी पोजीशन पे बैठा है बंदा
They've got time to get these reses off blank. The Blues are
किल देम ऑल मैन किल देम ऑल फॉर योर कंट्री
be able to get through. Marso will heal. Poser will be able to get up and step out for another sight line. Unlikely that Poser's going to be able to heal though. Actually, they might still have time here. They do. Goodness me. This means
के पास हेल किट नहीं है यार
Wiz got to be able to have to deal with here, and he doesn't have any nades.
ना नेड है
With a
ना
nade,
हेल किट है
this could go a different way, but I
got
feel
hard
like
cover,
WizGod might be able to find
ना
a
नेड है ना हेल किट है
three. I'm not sure. But Marso goes out, drops the smoke train towards it. They know exactly which rock he's on. As soon as they get in range,
अरे यार के पास हेल किट नहीं है
steps out, and that's a little sliver of HP taken away, and he doesn't have any meds to play with. This is nasty.
Big stun grenade. WizGod just has to hide it out for the time being. But it's looking close. Can WizGod close this down? It's looking slightly unlikely. Regardless, he has been through the war zone this game and will go out valiantly. But it will be Kara to come off from a second place and 19 points into a chicken dinner. What a sweep from these guys.
With
भाई उसके
11
पास ना हेल
each
किट थी ना नेड थे यार
game, really strong. It felt like they were the winners in that last match. This time, it rings true. That south side shift playing well to their compound, and Kara are on a massive resurgence here. It's what Nepturus
कोई नहीं गाइस कोई नहीं बे होपलेस नहीं होना बहुत अच्छा निकाला
to a repeat there. Orangutan as well, playing very well on that northern side, doing a lot to control. It was just so unfortunate that Thunder Talk somehow are able to apparate wherever they want to within the circle. That was some crazy rotates coming in.
Oh, bro, I just couldn't believe we were just watching Thunder Talk just go hell for leather in the vehicles. It made absolutely no sense to me, John. It was like watching them go from tactical gameplay to suddenly, you know what? We're just going to give it our all here. Get in the vehicle, put the...
कोई ना एक एक कोई ना यार कोई ना वीज
Yeah, it's really quite impressive how they were able to do it, but I have no idea just what what happened there for Thunder Talk. I'm sure the analysts do. Let's take a look.
इसका फाइट नहीं लेना था यार
Okay, man, what a game. Are you kidding me? This game had it all. We saw the crazy push from Thunder Talk onto Virtus Pro. I mean, these guys are flexing themselves out, but Kara with the back-to-back chicken dinner. Max, man, what we've been waiting for.
Hey, Kara, back-to-back win. Niptura, you are the reverse curse. Less right now for this team. You wanted to see step up, and like the thing is, they drop arm right. This is
कोई नहीं भाई
drop location through and through. They love this area, and it was just so lucky for them that the circle ended up going that way. But it was not just a game like we saw for its last match. This is Kara actually zooms away.
अरे कास्टर्स अपना वो सही करो भाई नेट सही करो जाके
Kara just putting Turkey on the map when it comes to the Gauntlet are the best from their region, which I did not know in the Regnum Kara in this exam lobby.
Right? Yeah, prize coming here. I did know Kara were gonna be a foreskin with it. Took a little time to get feet, but once they have, I cannot them. The edge, the controls that they've got, you know, that, like you said, that roof angle was just demolishing for DRX. Really good game, all right, but no match for that angle. And rest of card just able to support those angles, great shots, and big stuff coming in from them.
I don't know why in my mind this was a back-to-back Karo win because they got such a elimination. I'm like, wait, place. It was
भाई 2 मैच में ओजीज ने
a win in terms of how many points they did bring home.
थंडरटॉक को अच्छे से पेला है भाई. सॉरी फॉर दिस लैंग्वेज बट हमारे इंडिया में बस ऐसे ही कहते हैं भाई. अब मैं क्या बोलूं.
I'll take it one step further, Max. I'd say that once EA were in the building, they should have let it go. But why are they in the building in the first place? But Tony K coming in here, EA. I mean, this was insane, just insane.
He's like, I am Tony K. He's got a rename. He's taking Tony K's name now. He's him.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy after crazy play. I loved this game so much. It was just, what was this game? It's just such chaos. Back-to-back chaos in the end game. I did so much.
Look, you're going to see Kara barely... You're going to see them barely move this high again.
मास्टर प्लीज अपने ऑडियो सही करो यार. हट.
Orangutan also similar drop in shelter playing the northern side. Everyone got in position pretty much phase 1 positioning into phase 2, and then they didn't move much for the rest of this game because there's so many compounds open for the taking early on in this game. They just go there, play it for as long as they possibly can, and hope the circle does eventually favor you towards the end, which it did for Kara. Actually, Kara did do a really nice 2-2 split there. You did see for a second that 2 players north of the road, 2 players south, to just keep their options open, Iptura, and here clearly that was a position that enabled them to get easily into the later stage while really taking no fights at that point.
Yeah, it was really nice because they were able to regroup and know when to regroup as well. As soon as DRX started making too many moves, they were like, you know what, it's not worth it. We're going to go over here. And it really did work for them because look where that zone takes them. It doesn't take them out that compound hardly at all. Only until they're up against just one player left did they have to move out of that compound. So really worked out in their favor. And 21 points. Remember, they jumped 7th to 4th place after the game. Now with 21 additionally, where on earth is that going to put them now?
Oh my, it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, they had 5, now 21 at 46 in 2 games, Max, man.
Wow.
I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, even their talks probably gonna worry about that sooner. They get another game like this. So, what a crazy finish for Kara. I mean, Thunder Talk had that crazy push, right, onto Virtus Pro. My question is to you, Max Man, right? Do you think they do that if they're not in first place with such a big lead, or do you think that is just so typical Thunder Talk at this point?
I do think, Hodges, there's a certain level of we've made it, let's have fun with it. No,
right?
Again, we know. Oh, by the way, congratulations Leo from Kara being the MVP. Are we surprised? No. Probably going to be MVP of the day to be completely. But yeah, look, I think there's a certain level of like made it, be comfortable. Let's just try and flex out possible and just not secure their positions. Playing very aggressive, which actually kind of hurt them right now because they lost 2 players to Aaron, and of course we did have a Tony K coming in from the arena, also getting the clutch. Maybe they're getting almost comfortable. They're doing some big plays, but you know what? As of right now, it's enough because they still are first with 111 points, 3 wins. Thunder Talk, yeah, they're done. They're in. You're the first team in the finals alongside Vampire. You did it.
So good. So good to see. I love that play. It's chaos, and I want to see, honest.
Dude, I mean, just look at Kara. 3rd place with 76 points in total. Like, again, in the 2 games, they have outperformed these teams in their entire day's performance, Max. How crazy is that?
And they were in the middle of them. It's been a quick comeback story. Kara, they're still quite a bit away from Thunder. They've just been so damn consistent as a team. But you know what I do want to highlight is the fact that RA are still holding strong onto that second. Right, of course, they're currently tied between 3rd place between them and Kara. This, you would have showed genuinely boards at the start of the gauntlet and say this is what we're going to have at the halfway point of the say there's no way this is a big like
चलो
and a lot of the teams that are rising star effective regions are at the top. What is going on? PMGC so negative and
했어요. 다른 팀이 DRX 팀이 런도 팀에서 런도 팀에서 DRX에게
In like the rotation or anything like that.
싸우는 거 아니면 그냥 DRX 팀이랑 무슨 어려운
저희가 어려운
네네네 네네네
그냥 저희가 쓸 자리를 잘 못 찾고
भाई भाई इसको चाइनीज नहीं आ रही
I just think we can't get our position in this map, so we will be better now.
All right, well, I'm hoping you get that position tomorrow. You guys are currently moving up that leaderboard. You're only 1 point away from getting into that top 7. That might happen. Thank you so much for your time. Back to you guys.
बैंकर थाईलैंड देखो क्या होता है देखें चैट में क्या चल रहा है
All right, we're getting geared up for the next match here. We passed the halfway mark.
OG with
of
placement
the
points
gauntlet,
only.
and we are getting towards
OG
the
not
later
taking
days of
fights.
some of our teams to start to step up, certainly from the bottom of those tables. We saw, obviously, Karo
Someone just said,
massively
"IF I am falling."
coming in towards the games.
OG
There,
playing
the
first
two
time
players
with
have
these
been
teams
absolutely incredible.
and still performing decent
Yum.
heads up. सही बात है भाई
I think they are last out.
भाई ये शॉट बहुत तगड़ा था
To be
भाई
honest with you, I think we've seen some incredible plays from most of our teams today. Here's a quick recap of what has occurred over the
OG
last
is first
couple of
time to
games.
PMGC, that's why they are playing passive, they are understanding strategy.
Comeback overall. OG making into multiple of the late game circles.
Who,
too,
OG
suddenly deciding once they hit
बात है
the
भाई
they're gonna go on the
गुरप्रीत भाई क्या बात है भाई
because that last game they were just deciding,
OG
you know,
chicken.
we've had enough of being in dock. Let's just
Come on OG chicken for India पे
Yeah, why not? You know, give it a go. They've done everything else successfully. Why not try and break the mold a little bit, right? Make it a little bit more exciting for yourselves. Seems like they are on easy street at the moment. Certainly, if you look at their points tallies.
Press
With the
3 for
match, they
Bikaristan.
basically locked themselves in, right, for the finals. There's pretty much no way that they don't. There wasn't before. It's almost definite now.
What the hell man
Yeah, I mean they're not. Let's put it that way. They're not dropping out from top 7. Thundertalk have their ticket. There's still some more work to be done for some of our other teams here before we can clearly say that they are making it in. Just due to the way the points have been set up towards the top side of the lobby right now, with so many squads earning very similar point scoring so far, just because a lot of those points have been stolen.
OG was given slot
It's just wonderful.
because India's were
Every day
begin
it
for
happen a lot of
free
times,
slot
but,
if you
they
India's
GK doing their best.
Indians
Fight
they are
intense between DRX, GK as well as
USA.
Karo when it came down to it. I think DRX made a pretty decent hold on the top side just as 2 players, but alas, it wasn't meant to be.
I mean, this setup as well on that south side, for one of the Thundertalk players to go down was pretty nasty coming through from Aaron on Ulf. The RX as well on the warpath in the match, they were able to do quite a lot during that game. A huge number of elims added to their tally, where last game, they really were reticent to do so. Top 4 players, though, coming on through. CEO still grabbing that logo. Like a tiger, like a lion, maybe. I don't know. But either way, he's top of the pride right now with 6 elims and 688 damage on that match.
I like how you went for tiger, lion, and not the wolf, like the logo. But,
yeah, it looks more big
go.
cat than big dog, but either way, he's simple.
Yeah, I guess so. Kekse from DRX said 1,000 damage done total, which is not bad at all. Revo, despite, Alpha 7 not being in a lot of these games and kind of doing a little bit worse for wear today, still up there at 791 damage done total. But yeah, I think for karo so far, just an incredible suit of games overall today. The 19 elim into, not quite getting the chicken dinner, into just getting the chicken dinner. Really does take the cake there, though. Very, very fun stuff coming through. And Thundertop with their back-to-back at the start of the day. I'm hoping that we'll see other teams doing well in terms of chicken dinners towards the end of the day today. Maybe some other contestants added to the mix.
I mean, it's still very possible for anyone to jump up towards that boundary. It is starting to get a little bit more unlikely for teams.
भाई पूरा PMGC लगता है हमारे इंडिया वाले ही देख रहे हैं.
Very much lagging behind.
पूरा PMGC भाई.
To see what they're going to be able to go for in the rest of the matches that they have, but they still got half of the game.
पूरा chat सिर्फ इंडिया वालों से भरा है.
They still got that opportunity, and it's now that they need to dig deep.
कहते हैं प्यार से इंडिया वाले अभी देखो कैसे आता है चिकन हमारा.
Want to be getting pushed down towards the league stages with the rest of everybody else. It makes it far more unlikely that you're going to be able to nab yourself one of those finals spots, which is what everybody's looking towards.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite generous as well. The top 7.
भाई टीडी को फिर से एक बार मारो भाई प्लीज यार. सेटिस्फैक्शन लेवल मजा आ जाता है भाई कसम से.
7th place here. Obviously, you'd like to be a little bit higher than that to really secure that position. I think Virtus Pro, from yesterday, I said there was a bit of method to the madness for them, but today it feels a little bit more madness than anything. I mean, there has been some decent plays, and they're still making it towards the top 7 lobbies, but I think that, that messy style isn't quite working out anymore, and I think that reliance on just gun skill, mechanical skill doesn't quite work here in an international lobby. So I'd like to see a little bit more out of VP. And again, it's also understandable because you look at that team and after they go down, they are very much upset about it. I think they understand more than anyone that they're not playing up to scratch.
Yeah, it's going to be noticeable from within their own ranks. They're not blind to it. It is the sort of thing you do need to keep under advisement. Taking a look at some of the utility used during that last match, you can see able to do 2,100 damage for karo. I mean, seems to be fairly chill as you put their games back to back from day 1 to day 2. You see, it's a big improvement coming on through here as they step on in to the limelight and really take up the majority of the stage. DRX getting 2 big back-to-back games too, Blank. I mean, we talked about their first match not being super strong. They still did get a chicken dinner, and here they were able to back it up with the elims. So a little bit of that worry that I had before is slightly assuaged for the South Korean squad.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think for their second match of the day, you can't really fault it too much. Yes, it's not a gigantic game, but again, what can you do? You get that central position. I think you just have to hold on to it, and you don't want to flex out too much and allow teams to get in later on. So you just have to do your best to play that 4-man split, hold all corners, and make sure that you're the only team left inside of those buildings towards the end game. So yeah, it's not terrible from DRX at all, but yeah, they definitely were able to pick it up in that second game that we saw on Erangel, which felt a lot better. And like you say, I think definitely a lot of those worries are now gone. But we're heading in towards our 4th and final Erangel of the day now here on day 2 of the Gauntlet.
Really heavy south plane path as well, Blank, to kick things off for our
10वां मैच स्टार्ट हो गया.
It is all the way down to the south side. Is this the time that we see the C block hot drop keep coming through? GS, are you going to go back down there, see what you've got in store? Alpha Gaming, very likely to be taking up residence in that C block. We'll see just what happens. Looks like GS out a little bit earlier. Not going to get super stuck in just yet. Maybe actually spreading out quite a way, grabbing those vehicles first.
Final gets to open.
Edge of Sosnovka.
During new tomorrow.
Which seems to be working out for them. And they can certainly play that position and get some good vehicles from there and loot up. It's a bit more of a split drop for them. But to be honest, I think come day 2, again, we talked about this earlier, is that I think they realized that APG is quite a stubborn team despite them not looking extra hot in the tables. You'd rather just not fight them. If there's another option available to you, which there absolutely is with this western drop for them. But yeah, this is one of the harshest circles here on Erangel, very much far on the south side. We'll see when the circle pops up to directly over towards Yasnaya. So there's still a possibility to move out. Alpha 7 going towards their secondary drop spot in Lipovka, which is absolutely fine for them going forward. I'm curious to see how R8 plays this one out, because they'll maybe go over towards South George with vehicles and then wrap over the top of Severny potentially.
I think that would make sense, or maybe not all the way up to Severny, yeah, but towards the Stalwa foothills, across that shooting range hill area. Definitely potential for them. As King for Thunder Talk, getting on the road, dropping around Milta, surrounded by quite a few teams here, Blank. So it can be treacherous, but looks like they've given themselves a wide enough berth from the teams that surround them to be able to find those through roads. So take a look at our top 5 elims. This sighting sat at the top there. CEO very close behind.
I mean, sighting has been a real big blessing for Thunder Talk. And I think that many times in the past for Chinese teams, it has been a case that, yes, they're all pretty damn good at the game and have some good coordination, but they really did lack that star player on side who's able to come out with those clutch plays. That hasn't been the case for quite some time now. I think way back when in the day, it used to be that they absolutely had that capability, but that was taken up by teams from South Korea, from Turkey, teams doing extremely well from those regions. But here, I'd say Sighting is just a really, really nice player to have on team, where he's just got these big clutch moments where able to get them out of these sticky situations they sometimes find themselves in.
इनको गाड़ी इतनी जल्दी मिल जाती है ना भाई, मैं क्या बताऊं। हम लोग खेलते हैं एक्सपीरियंस, भाई हमको गाड़ी नहीं मिलती। ऐसा लगता है पूरे रेंगा में लूट करने नहीं, गाड़ी ढूंढने जाओ। तब गाड़ी मिल गई भाई, तब 4 बंदों को 8 बंदों को गाड़ियां मिल चुकी।
To be able to get that far that fast, it is pretty much unheard of. Certainly not in a very, very long time for a team to stretch out this early. So we are glad to be witness to it. Let's see who can keep up the pace as well, because we've got 3 teams now in that 70-point boundary, with Kara joining R8 and Mad Bulls up in 76 points and actually vying for second place completely.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. I mean, Kara right now, the fact that they went from kind of being like towards the bottom of the pack to
Kara और R8 में भाई बहुत गंदी वो है।
The second place is just nasty work from them over 2 games, and it just shows how quickly that these things can shift around if you just have some good games. OG currently topping the pack when it comes to the main peloton underneath here, 52 points chasing with Virtus Pro. But yeah, OG being at 61 is a pretty solid place to be in for them going forward. But they still need to keep putting up those points if they want to stay ahead of the rest, because people are starting to catch up now.
It is necessary to keep pace going. Unless you've done what Thunder Talk have done. They could basically sleep for the rest of the tournament and probably be okay for the finals at this stage.
क्या connections बनेंगे? Oh, what?
This western bridge from the military island.
भाई जीत ने रश मार दिया। What?
A lot of players bearing down upon him, and he will not be able to pass that one off. That is going to be Wolves losing a player. First blood is drawn.
Baton had a bit of a panic moment there. We've all been in that situation where you got 4 players all barreling towards you. I think that he didn't really quite know what the protocol was for that situation. The rest of his team left him behind in the dust, kind of providing himself a little bit of a scouting position. But sadly, not meant to be, as Wolves go down yet again to 3 players. They've not been having the greatest day today. Been a little bit dismayed by their performance. It's been obvious to see in their faces. Hopefully they can bring things again. And for a North American team, I think they're performing pretty admirably well in international. Some of the best teams in the world here inside this lobby.
टीम ओजी चाइना वालों के पीछे हाथ धोके पड़ गई है, मां कसम।
It is a big set of representation to come up against.
गीप रोटेशन चालू कर दी है.
Literally the best in the world at what they do here for PUBG Mobile. These are the regional toppers, the teams that came out ahead of everybody else. Everyone here is a champion in their own right. But you have what it takes to be the champion of champions. That's what it's all about here, to get out of the gauntlet and into those finals. GK currently a resounding no for the time being.
Yeah, GK currently 16th place right now. It's tough. It is tough. APG not quite living up to their own expectations because they're in 15th and not 16th after all, with 30 points. Still pretty rough for them. I think for APG, something needs to change. I don't know if I particularly don't think it's going to change here in the gauntlet. I genuinely don't think that they're going to make it into the top 7. I think this type of gameplay is just not on par with the rest of the lobby right now. And it is frustrating to see because I think a lot of people at home understand that these are some of the best players in the world. And all of them have incredibly high namesakes. But right now, it's just not meshing. It really isn't meshing as they come into contact.
What?
Silas looking not to go down.
भाई कोई पोजीशंस में बैठे हैं बंदे.
Duck there to get out of the way of the bullets and sent his way.
We'll be able to stay alive for just a little bit longer there.
एपीजी ने फॉल बैक डाल दिया. व्हाट नेट कुछ कनेक्शन. भाई क्या निकला भाई बंदा वो.
But they've already got away from it. And Top hops into the car last. Alpha Gaming, I don't imagine that they're going to want to push this too hard. Don't need to press the issue just yet. But on the other side, Regnum Kaya may be looking for something here. If Ziol gets a little bit too big for his boots, then I wouldn't blame him. But he does back up, slam it into reverse, hit the compound with the UAZ, see a little bit more safety.
Yeah, still taking more shots here. Reefus even taking shots to the face as he gets inside the vehicle. Again, good stuff from Regnum Kaya. I mean, they're kind of low on ammo, etc., but they're making sure to take shots towards the vehicles whilst they can. Even that Dacia starts to smoke a little bit now too.
Getting a little bit too smoky there for their liking. Has to hop out. Regnum Kaya with
गाड़ी फोड़ दिया उन्होंने.
over towards Alpha Gaming, but teams are going to be moving in around them as well, so they do need to stay on the swivel. You can see Ulfa pushing in on that west side. You've got
भाई ओजी स्प्लिट्स में क्यों खेल रहे हैं? अल्फा 7 से कुछ फाइट होने वाली है क्या?
Look at the position that's afforded them. Oversight from the compounds at the top of the hill over towards the Rozhok bridges.
Yeah, that's an incredible position for them. It is a little bit tough to hold sometimes with teams bearing down upon you from that north side. But I think R8 has a good chance to make it happen. I think they just need to not get too distracted by that southern bridge. Because that's a trap that a lot of teams fall into when they play that position is they get too focused on holding teams out and end up getting backstabbed. In this case, probably by GS. So I think for R8, they've got a strong position right now. Just hold on to it for the time being. But it is a hard shift.
लॉक्सी को क्या गिरा सकते हैं लोग?
Like VP, OG, PK, we're all going to suffer because of this.
Having a tough time against Joker.
क्या जो करें यहाँ पे कुछ एलिमिनेशन निकाल पाता है या फिर इस स्प्रिंट के खाली जाएंगे? चारों बंदे एक ही जगह बैठे हैं भाई.
Effectively, but they haven't managed to get anyone across the river just yet. Maybe have to
go
a little bit faster there. We'll see if they're able to
अपार्टमेंट में उतरे भाई ये लोग.
Alpha Gaming find another player from the Wolves, and now they're busted down to 2. PMSL America's champions having a tough time of things against one of our well, currently weaker teams, right? Just crazy to say that it's Alpha Gaming.
Yeah, it really is. But I think that we absolutely can say at this point. I don't think it's unnecessary to keep saying that this is a prank at this point, which is sad. It is definitely sad to say. But we'll just have to hope that they come back stronger in the group stage. And if that's not the case, well, it just wasn't meant to be.
Teams have made their way up to the north side. You see Alpha 7 moving over the top. Now further in, you've got OG as well, actually very close, getting kind of intertwined with this.
What?
Of Alpha 7. Tanky, nice shot, and it's obscure. Can land the headshot to pull him out of the vehicle. That's going to be an easy rundown for Grisao as well. No chance of getting that one back up. OG playing on as 3, and with Virtus Pro to their north, it might be a little bit of a meat grinder up on the north side.
I mean, that's really, really not an easy shot to take as well from Obscure. Like, long, long distance on that one. So a very, very good pickup there. I think OG gets a little bit unlucky with, because I think that rotate was kind of fine with the boys from A7 still on their rotate. I think OG's like, well, at this point, we just need to pass by. But for Obscure to hit that shot, I think that's like, that happens only a few times. And it has to come through a very, very good player. So very well played to him. OG's going to have to try and go for a quick rotate over towards the northwest side and see what they can get done there.
3 players. WizGod sending out as the scout.
विस्कॉट कारा के पास है और AKP और कारो इतना दूर दूर क्यों है भाई?
Dangerous territory on the northwest side. We're going back over to the lake though.
अबे विस्कॉट पूरा घुस गया है क्या?
Well, I mean, maybe except for Thunder Talk here. They are in a really solid spot on the west side of the Yaz Fields. No one really going to be able to approach them from their east side. That west side approach from the bridge going to be so tricky. Regnum Kaya, they're going to give it a good go though before Thunder Talk have managed to go for the regroup. That approach from that south side is probably the only time where they'll find it, but that wall keeps them so safe in the compound. And maybe they'll just play in the shadow.
Yeah,
RG versus TD.
I think for Regnum Kaya in particular,
नेट इस टाइम होने लगे भाई.
Shots over towards Thunder Talk, Wolves, as well as Ulf as they make their way through. You can see on our screen, Wolves able to pick up the Wizard Tower.
अबे वोल के पास इजी वो चांस है भाई. पूरा डाल दिया.
Not going well for Loxy. Not going to be allowed to stay on that far side. Surely they knew that was going to happen. Regnum Kaya now have to play on as 3.
Yeah, I think that Loxy knew that it was happening, which is why he was trying to cross back in towards the rest of his team. But Thunder Talk got there so quickly and set up so fast. I mean, the rest of the team is not even in position yet. This is an awkward circle, right? With Yaz Lake being over towards that northeast side and the river that splits in between, you know, it's very undecided where this is actually going to end up. So I think teams are struggling a little bit. I think I would prefer to be over towards the southeast side, though, just because it's where a lot of the field is. If you can pick up a position here early and it does shift down towards the southeast, you're going to have a much easier time than a team that confirms over towards that northwest side. And you have pushing over towards there is a little bit easier. There's more cover, more hillsides to work with.
I feel like one of the sleeper positions here is maybe the bridge to the east of Roshog. If you can get around that and stay safe for a little bit longer, I feel like you have access to both sides of the river, where a lot of other teams just won't. It looks like DXavier got to try and careen the remainder of their players down towards that position, but they are drawn short on the approach. The shots ringing out from Hyunbin and the rest of DRX as well, making that a very difficult escape for the rest of DXavier. And Paragin trying to stay alive on that south edge. Kike on the northwest in the meantime with the blue zone pushing them in. Kara are their guards, and that is going to be a real tough approach. Regnum Kaya chiming into the backstop for DXavier. The other two a little bit closer to the river. And now OG making the dash. To regroup with WizGod. Moving across the open ground. They managed to get through the
WizGod के HP.
bullets, and they find the cover. Will they be able to survive long enough to regroup? There's already a knock. There's already a second as well. They desperately need to find some sort of cover, some sort of respite. But the shots are ringing out from every single direction around them. R8, Arena. You've got Kara as well, who are going to be putting some pressure onto this one. And OG are having a real tough time of it on their approach. Not allowed in at any turn, and they will start to fall, start to crumble in the face of it. AKOP, the last to stand. Nobody quite making their way on through.
भाई इसके पास सर्किट नहीं है क्या?
Dealing the final blows. He's
actually working
right now.
Oh, damn. I actually thought he got away with that as well. I think it's a cool play to make because you just stop dead and you're like, I am not here. Trust me, please. But yeah, unfortunate stuff will go down. That's OG going out in 16th here.
भाई OG ने एक भी पॉइंट नहीं मारा है.
Will not be a good result.
Alpha 7 अभी पूरा जिंदा है, VP पूरा है, DX भी है.
Arena somehow getting through on the hovercrafts, giving themselves a nice big burly.
कहीं DRX से फिर एक चिकन निकाल लिया था, बैन अच्छा.
Keep themselves nice and safe. Prop themselves up on. Kara moving over towards the lake because there's a lot of water in this final circle. Well, these final circles here, Blank. It is a real tough time. Keeps the whole lake in, but doesn't keep the far side of it in through the next zone, which makes it impossible to rotate around that way after the next maybe 30 seconds have elapsed.
it's kind of frustrating for Thunder Talk as well because they played this 2-2 split and it actually was such an insane play. I will say though, it was very, very greedy. But if it paid off, they would have both been able to move down towards this southeast compound and they would have had a very good game off the back of that. Now it's up to APG to move towards that north side and pick up that compound off them. But APG still doesn't really know whether there's only 2 players within that building. And it's likely something they'll think about doing a little bit later. They have to clear Mad Bulls as well on the southwest side. Carrot's still going strong, but only with 2 players also. This is a very, very rough circle to play. And this is exactly why I say that you kind of want to confirm down towards the southeast side. If you were already there, you didn't want to move just because it is so difficult now for teams to find purchase in the circle from the northwest.
It is really difficult. You're right. GS R8. I mean, it's more important for GS really to be able to get through this one unscathed. Their score tally right now, very much in the throes of it. R8 a little bit more secure, and they're already picking up points towards Wolves. Already more damage being done to the Americas champions. GS going for a wide wrap out to the north now. They're trying to get around all of this engagement, get away from R8, get away from Kara, but they are heading straight towards Alpha 7.
Alpha 7's position, there's actually a lot of little bits of cover here that they can play. Ski has to hit the deck. There's some good shots initially from the vehicles as they pass by. They need to find one of them, break this train apart, but GS are able to get onto the other side. Immediately pins need to be pulled here. GS Icon already finds obscure in the back line. These first couple of nades have to be massive, and they absolutely are.
Revo and Guizao
GS घुस गई भाई क्या नहीं भाई शॉट गन है भाई Alpha 7
It's going to be Guizao and Carrillo holding the line for Alpha 7. One player did get taken out there, but GS, they try a wide wrap, but it was not going to work. In the meantime, plenty of damage being done around these bridges, and R8 are going to be moving out on the south side.
Regnum Kai is actually a tough game to play because there's a lot of angles, at least for R8, that they could still pick up, and then R8 plays that position after them. Still so much water in this one over towards that north side. E-Arena playing this building that's slightly on high ground is pretty good for them going forward. And no one is even thinking to look over towards Thunder Talk right now. I think most teams assume that's a 4-man squad there, which does give their position a little bit of defense going forward.
It's always good to be able to spike out a little bit bigger than your reality. In those situations, it is a valuable asset. APG moving into the very, very west borders of Yasnaya. It's a difficult rollout. You can see Doc is lining the vehicle up because they do know that they need to move fast on this next exit. The question is, where do they go, right? There's a couple of buildings further down the road. The arena are going to be very close to them, though, and it's going to be a difficult push to it. With Virtus Pro as well on the north, I mean, that is very, very dangerous ground.
Alpha 7, Carrillo will try as much as possible, but again, I think for Alpha 7 is a very, very difficult push down towards the south side to make this happen. All right, though, it's going straight for it. Xavier once again playing on as 2 players and making it work somehow. Again, I think that although they are doing okay in the points, and now they're in top 7, this sort of needs to stop. Right, the Xavier duo is something that is becoming increasingly more consistent and increasingly more effective. And I don't know why. I would much rather this team played on as 4. But yeah, it's such an odd one where the most times where we see Xavier doing well is when 2 of their other players are dead. It makes no sense, yet it is working.
Regnum Kaya just love this river split style. We've seen it from a lot in the regionals. And they are trying to enact it here. I mean, it's why Loxy was across the river in the first place to get taken down by Thunder Talk. But it seems like they're a little bit more entrenched now with Wild playing there. They've got Kara trying to put nades across the river, but just a bit out of range. Fortunately, they find that knock, and that could be a huge opportunity for all the teams around to make a move, including DRX.
Alpha 7 just trying to go for the swim. I think they had little options available to them, but the duo in Xavier have spotted them out. Levi's and Paragian. Not likely to let this cross go unharmed, as Carrillo will get knocked. Alpha Gaming made a long fling over towards the eastern side, sorry.
been a difficult approach, but somehow Doc making that mad dash across the open Yaz fields.
So, a bit of a self-made, but it gets the job
That's
done.
not great.
It does get the job. It does take down Lemon, right? Bit of collateral damage on his side. Not sure how he took 99% and Lemon took 100.
That happens, you know. Looks like he's pretty bare on the meds, though. Otherwise, you'd imagine his health bar would be a lot fuller than it is. That's the nade that'll do it. Final nail in the coffin on the south edge, and that res should be coming on through for the Mad Bulls. Thunder Talk are out, so our table toppers going to be taking another break. This is an opportunity. This is a big opportunity for the Mad Bulls to put a lot of distance in and see what they can find. Regnum Kaya, in the meantime, they have been busted down to 1. Their east side shore outhold was dismantled by Kara, by a couple of other teams as well, but Kara have now fallen as well. So Wild may be a little bit more unknown here.
DRX, QXZ were playing underneath. Regnum Kaya were picked to pieces. Only Wild left remaining, as per usual, as is customary. Alpha Gaming still playing as 4, but it's a rough approach for them.
Ooh, he doesn't have too many meds. Look at that. Only the 2 first aids. Doesn't want to overexpend himself. And needed to try and get a re-knock there. Levi's actually chiming in, but a nade bobbles its way over. DRX have to cross, and the blue zone's putting too much pressure on to make this one realistic here. I just don't think they're getting out of it. With Grisao as well on the far side. The nades coming through from the DXavier duo. Oh, it's dastardly. It's mischievous coming through from Paragon and Levi's. They are doing a lot of work for DXavier on this west side. They're up to 5 elims.
I know, it's paradoxical, but it works. This is what's happening for DXavier right now. I don't really understand it. I mean, the fact that they're in top 7 is wild to me. But as Pro go down to just 1 player as the arena takes some very big shots towards them, and with Aragon down towards the south side, very unlikely VP gets back up into the picture.
Whoa.
Good step up from DRX, jumping into the boat from Kagse to get a separate, different angle. More shots from DXavier, trying to weaken them as much as possible, soften them up for this initial nade that's going to come over the top here.
DXavier not really going to have sightlines on them for too much longer. The nades need to be on target now, because stepping up and over, you can have Ulf starting to take shots at you. APG maybe even from a distance. But DRX may have just done the impossible. Getting across this river seemed like it was
पार्टी में बची हुई है मैट
but here we are.
ये भी पीछे चलो अल्फा 7 गई
The Wolves surviving with
बट DX VP और DRX बची है भाई
so maybe that's where DRX go next.
Yeah, I mean, Doran's doing quite well for it. Alpha Gaming got torn apart. I mean, that position they took is not terrible, honestly, and I think Mad Bulls wanted it, but the speed at which they were plucked out of this game was quite astonishing.
ये चिकन मारना चाहिए बट
Who finally are having a bit of a resurgence today. It's been slightly less impressive towards the start of the day, some points here and there.
बट मैड का चिकन लग रहा है.
From that spot, you have a lot of control over the rest of the lobby. You're mainly just worried about Aragon and E-Arena, but you control these roadsides very well, and as long as that's possible, you have a great game in your hands. They still have to hope for a southeast shift on this one.
एच पे बैठा है भाई वो बंदा.
Likely to be a Mad Bulls win.
Certainly.
Oh भाई.
Let's see where the circle goes. It goes pretty central, Blank, which gives Mad Bulls, again, probably one of the better positions. They could still play on those roadsides. They could still play on those ridges, out towards the fields, the cover that they've already established. And the teams over towards the west side, I mean, it's a question of who gets the chance to try and move out towards where Ulf are playing.
Xavier forced to drop down as many smokes as possible to make this push work, but DRX very healthy now.
Oli में कहाँ कूद रहा है?
Start to bear fin. This is a crazy push from QXZ. Looking for a little more. Hyunbin round the side. Paragon's already down. Levi has a monumental task ahead of him.
What?
Too much trouble on the river crossing, and now they want their revenge. Kaixi moves on in, but it's going to be taken down.
भाई पीछे से ये ने ठोक दिया. माँ कसम DX भी गई. DX ने DRX को मार दिया भाई. DRX ने DX को मार दिया भाई. सिर्फ R और X का फर्क है भाई. बट R का फर्क है सिर्फ.
Stopping the arena, or trying to anyway, on that angle. Drops down. DRX have to make another move now. Their zone still not in their favor. They've been through it now. DRX definitely tested their mettle. And so far, it's looking pretty shiny.
It is. I mean, they have
भाई
just
मैट
won the
सेकंड
4-4
पोजीशन
away, slamming away on the Smith.
मैट
It's been a
सेकंड पे
very
आ
different
चुकी है
DRX to what we previously saw earlier.
मैट का चिकन लग रहा है भाई
What I've been
ऐसा लग रहा है
looking
मैट का
at
चिकन है
DRX in these last couple of games. I mean, it was a bit of a weaker start on that chicken dinner, but then they stepped up from there. And I mean, it's always nice to see an interview come through and them stick to the guns from what their plan was, which was to get a little bit more aggressive, understand the lobby a little bit better, and they certainly have done that here. Shots going through over towards
more,
Marble,
man.
but this kind of cover is very difficult to deal with, and DRX will need to use smoke to slowly work their way down on this cliff, because eventually this fight between E-Arena and DRX has to conclude.
I mean, the fact that Doran's still alive as well for Wolves is pretty crazy, especially given the compound he was sat in seemed to be prime real estate. Nobody really had the gumption, though, to go for it. He's been allowed to live for a little bit longer, despite obviously not having that many meds to his name. It is a tough time for Doran on that western edge. Next zone will pop on in. It goes very, very central again, and it keeps the Mad Bulls pivots in. It keeps Ulf in, too.
This is right. I mean, this is the exact circle that no one really wanted.
भाई वोल का एक बंदा बचा है सिर्फ और वो वहां कर क्या रहा है
The Mad Bulls, they have a very slim amount of area to play with. It depends whether they've got vehicles or not, John, because they could technically swing round
एक नेड और तीनों खत्म भाई
and play off that. But yeah, this is,
Whoa!
Ulf sends a nade in, and we'll find Pusher off the back of this one. Scarface looking for more.
क्या दूसरा नेड
Primes another grenade in the back pocket.
Ooh, sends it longer, does tag on to Pusher, but Lemon sails in for the rescue to re-bolster their position. Just making sure that Ulf are...
क्या ये नेड कुछ नहीं नहीं भाई ये सीन बहुत ही खतरनाक है वो गाड़ी में बैठा निकलने वाला है नेट पे नेट आ रहा है क्या उसको रिवाइवल दिया जा रहा है वो किल तो ले लिया को डाउन किया गया सरफेस डाउन हो गया भाई लास्ट बचा है भाई इस पे भी नेड आने लगे भाई भाई बट उसे एक बंदे ने पूरी टीम की वाट लगा दी भाई डीआरएस की भाई
trying to move through. Tony K goes down, and it's now just Joker remaining. DRX playing as a solo as well. If they don't get this res,
क्या ये नेट कुछ कम कर पाएगा
QXZ wants the shutdown, looks for Joker, goes with it, but Mormon might not be long
Oh.
the nade in response. QXZ breaking out wide. In the meantime, the Mad Bulls are making moves too. Ulf in the fight too.
भाई वो किधर नेट फेंक रहा है
Mad Bulls now still have the numbers advantage. The nades, the Molotovs, putting pressure on E-Arena. But what's going on the south side, Blank? Are going to be able to take control of that roadside?
QXZ looking for the full squad wipe over towards
bye.
Joker on the low ground, starting to move up. Nade sent long, slightly off target.
गलत कर रहा है भाई गलत नेट
Lets it bubble through. He's just littering the ground with those mines, but is it enough right now? QXZ needs to step up, knows roughly the direction he's coming from.
What? Come on, ये
extremely low now.
वे वेल डन बे जोकर क्या बात है
In the meantime, Mad Bulls going toe to toe with the remnants of Ulf. They are too unlikely to get back up here, and they've got the angle.
Mad Bull
around the side of the tree. The Mad Bull
Mad का ही चिकन था भाई
Ulf could not hold them out.
Mad का ही चिकन था भाई
Be a little bit ropey for a time there, but they play off one another beautifully, and the Mad Bulls reclaim their spot towards the top of those tables.
I mean, for Mad Bulls, what a great way to finish that now. I mean, taking down the entirety of APG in such short order as well on the position that won them the game. I mean, it wasn't even massively advantageous. And I think the thing that does win the game for them is just how long in that engagement. The amount of knocks he's able to pull through over towards E-Arena as they push towards his position. If not for that, I think Mad Bulls might have had a slightly harder time against the re-bolstered E-Arena on that side of the map. But they were so distracted for so long by DRX.
Getting that picture line up just perfect. Why not? Make sure you're looking fresh, looking hot. As everyone giving them the mad dog down the lens. Love to see it. Love to see it. No smiles. They're not celebrating. They're just going to do it again. We'll see just what they're able to do as we head over to the analyst desk as well.
Represent, had to do it hella big, had to run it back again, light it up.